Hello, welcome to a very special episode of Swapping Joysticks. It has been about 3 weeks since our last one, but we are back. I'm Biggest Bennett, otherwise known as Ben Ostwick, and joining me, as always, it's Ed San.
Ed San, that's me. Hello, hello Ben San.
Hello, how are you?
I'm sad that we're home from holiday.
Yeah, the last day. So, for those of you who don't know, we've been in Japan for about 2.5 weeks almost, and yeah, the last day I was like, you know what, I'm ready to go home. You know, well, not ready to go home, but I feel very fulfilled. I've had an amazing holiday. Everything's gone really well. But like, okay, now that was perfect. And now I'm home. I'm like, oh, I wish I'd had like another 4 weeks.
Yeah, we arrived back to the grey, cold
Rudeness
of Britain and was like, ugh, hate it. Yes, take me back.
Yeah.
I will say it is nice to have a cup of tea at least.
You had plenty of tea there.
Well, I had lots of green tea, but it's nice to
Is
have
that
a
not real
proper...
tea? It's not good.
Well, no, it's real tea. It's just, you know, not a British cup of tea. And I was like, oh, is that my new Nintendo mug that I'm just going to subtly show off? There you go. Yeah, there we go.
But yeah, we did drink lots of green tea. But yeah, today's episode, we're gonna go and probably like, just talk about our holiday. It's gonna be really boring. If it's like one of those, like when your parents come, or if you've got some like grandparents that've been on holiday and then they're like, "Oh, I've got all the photos on a slide."
My mum loves a slideshow.
Yeah,
she absolutely loves a slideshow.
Well, we're not gonna do that because we don't have the pictures uploaded. So we're just gonna ramble and chat about what we did and show some funny things that we've got.
Yeah, we've got a few things we haven't opened.
Yeah,
that we will open now. Well, not right now, but today.
Yeah.
So look forward to those. And yeah, we're going to just, I guess, go through not everything that we've done.
Mm-hmm.
Probably we'll focus on the nerdy video game things.
Tis the podcast.
Give us an hour and I'm sure we'll still be on day one talking about everything. Because Japan is just so fucking cool. It's just the fucking best place on earth.
I was thinking that earlier. I was like, that is the number one bucket list thing for me, was to go to Japan, and now I've done it. I'm like, oh, well, that's no other holiday's going to compare.
Well, now we just do it again.
Yeah, we're already talking about.
We're already planning. So next time we'll do this and that, and not that. And we'll do this differently, and
yeah. I think we're definitely going to go back, but we'll never go there for the first time again.
I know, and that's the thing. Like this trip was 2 weeks of let's do the obvious, basically. Let's do all the touristy things. Let's do the 3 major cities and the sort of nerdy things that we wanted to do.
Yeah.
So we had, I think it was 5 days in Tokyo, 3 days in Kyoto, 3 days in Osaka, and then another 3 in Tokyo-ish.
Yeah.
And we ticked off a lot of stuff in that time. A lot of stuff. And I've written a list on my phone of everything that we've done. So we will use that as a guide, I guess, as we go through. I will say I started that on the 3rd day when I had a bit of a low point.
You did have a low point, and I was like, oh no, this can be just a miserable holiday with you.
Wow, thanks. It was, well, every holiday is up and down, and not everything's perfect, which I need to tell myself more frequently. I think it was largely just I had not got over the jet lag at that point, so I was just very tired still.
I've never had jet lag in my life, and that was
no,
never, because like the furthest place I've gone with like time was New York, and that was like 5 hours. Is that 5 hours
that's
different?
So
doable. Oh yeah, like I sometimes stay up 5 hours extra at night, so it's like doesn't make any difference really to me. And I didn't. Yeah, and I think it just meant that I got up earlier, which is what you want to do when you're on holiday.
Yeah, exactly.
So instead of getting up at 10 a.m., I was getting up at like 5 and then going out and doing stuff at 6. So that was kind of what you wanted.
And also that 3rd day was a Sunday, which was incredibly busy throughout Tokyo because the Monday was a national holiday, which we did not realize. So that Sunday, just everybody was out and we were in Shibuya, which is about as busy as it possibly gets. And it was just generally so overwhelming. And I just felt a bit like, oh God, like this is a lot. And the realization hit me of we're not going to be able to do everything that I want to do. And I really didn't want to focus on the negative of, oh, we didn't do this, we didn't do that. And I wanted to make sure that we could remember everything we did. So I then started writing a list. I turned into my mum, unfortunately.
Well, it seemed to work because then you kind of cheered up a little bit.
Well, yeah, because then I wrote a list of everything we did and I continued that each day. And now that's just a nice reminder to make sure that we haven't forgotten everything. but it's a reminder of here are the positive things, of here are the cool things that we did every day, as opposed to, oh, we didn't get to do that, and those things have now become a trip number 2 list.
Oh yeah.
Of next time we'll do that next time, and that's something cool to look forward to.
Yeah, we decided in 2 years we're going back.
Yeah, exactly. So we've done a lot of really, really cool things. Not in a show-offy way, but just in a like, I'm really glad that we had a fulfilling trip, and we did a lot, and that was mainly on me for over planning and just trying to fit too much in. And next time we'll be a little more relaxed and maybe a touch less walking.
Oh, thank God. You took me up 3 fucking mountains in 2 days.
They were hills.
They were mountains. One's called Mount Inari, but anyway, we'll talk about that in a bit. But yeah, so we got there. We'll go through it kind of in order. We got there, and yeah, it was because we set off at like 10 a.m. Was that right? Like the flight was 8:30 actually. No, they moved it, didn't they?
Yeah.
So the flight was at 8:30, and then we got there about in the morning, and then we got there at like 6:30 the following day. But it's only a 14-hour flight, so it's like you miss a night. Yeah,
only 14 hours.
But like no, but you go forward 22 hours or whatever.
Yeah.
But it doesn't all add up, I know. But like yeah, you kind of miss a night because obviously you're up at 8:30 or earlier than that. So on the plane, you're kind of awake for it because that's like the start of your day. But then by the time you land, the sun is coming up as a new day starts in Japan. So your body's like, oh, you should be going and having a sleep now. But instead, the day is literally starting.
And we did therefore literally see the sun rising over Japan.
As we were flying in.
Which is super cool.
As we were flying in, you could see the glint of the sun flying in. Because you fly in. Well, it was kind of like you flew north along the side of the east coast up to Tokyo, so you could see all the little islands and the shrines on some of the islands, and it was really, really pretty.
Yeah, and the adrenaline kicks in of like, oh holy shit, we're about to land in Japan, and I've wanted to go here since I was like 7 or 8, and now we're actually there. It was wild, and. The thing is that then you land and you're like, great, first day, let's get cracking. But you've had no sleep on the plane or very little sleep. And you've got to just jump straight in. And we quickly realized that A, we needed to sleep. And B, nothing opens in Tokyo before at least 11 a.m. Which is the one thing that no one told me and is a tip that I would have very much appreciated. Literally nothing opens. And I appreciate that is the time that therefore you go and do shrines and temples that are open all the time. But most of the shops don't open. So we were kind of like, we can't get into our room yet. So what do we do?
Yeah, we arrived at like, I think by the time we got out and we got there and everything like that, it was about 10 o'clock or 10:30.
I think it was earlier than that.
Oh, wait, sorry. I don't know, because they let us in at 1. So we could check in at 1. And I remember being like, oh, that's kind of, it was going to be about 4 or 5 hours.
Yeah.
And they said, oh, if you sign up to this membership, you can check in at 1. And I was like, well, I'm doing that.
Yeah.
So we did that. And then we were just dead. Luckily, we left the bags. But yeah, we went and found a Starbucks.
Well, it was the only place open.
Yeah. And it was really close by. And they had lots of Japanese food, like matcha tea and some other bits and bobs.
Yeah, weird things in Starbucks Japan.
Yeah.
Well, not that weird, but different things, which is nice. So yeah, we had a wander and we went hunting for a Famitsu.
We did find, and yeah, so if you don't know, Famitsu is the legendary Japanese video game magazine. It's like, I don't know, for me it's like the Edge magazine of Japan, but it's the one where, because a lot of embargoes are kind of online embargoes, print embargoes are different. So you often see a game reviewed and they'll be like, hey, this is what Famitsu gave it, but you have to wait 2 days for the rest, because Famitsu is a weekly magazine and it comes out every Thursday, but if the embargo is like on a Monday, then you'll find out what Famitsu think of it on the Thursday, and no idea really what they're saying, but they have 4 reviewers for all the games that they review that week, and it's the same ones, isn't it? It's the same people that review all the games that week. So the 4 people, and then they give you their reviews, and then it's a total out of 40. So they give their scores out of 10. And the first one we got, I have here.
Well, I was just going to say that we were there for 2 weeks, but because of the days that we were there for, we ended up with 4 copies. Because we managed to get the sort of previous one, and then the brand new one, and then the new one, and then one the day we left.
Yeah.
So.
And the first one we got is This one here. Now, if you are watching this, or listen to this on a podcast rather than on YouTube, it is the cover is Nikkei, who it's a mobile game that's very, very, very popular in Japan, but it is the most sexualized thing there, but on the point of parody.
All you need to know if you're listening and not watching is the words anime boobs.
Yeah.
And that is gracing the front cover of the magazine. And also there were
There's
that
a poster.
character is on billboards everywhere.
Yeah.
Just anime boobs.
There's
everywhere.
also a poster here with just boobs.
Are they even covered?
I don't know if they are.
Vaguely.
Okay, yeah, don't get... anyway, I don't want to get banned on YouTube. But
No.
there are boobs, and boobs and boobs and
Just
boobs.
a lot of boobs. We saw a lot of boobs in general, to be honest. Well,
Yeah.
anime boobs anyway. So that was nice. And then we checked in,
Yes.
and our hotel was the Godzilla hotel.
It was, and it was all very Godzilla themed, which was cool. They had the Godzilla head, which you can't go out. It was like, oh, sorry, the terrace. You can't go out on that, but you could still see it from like where it was. And yeah, that was really cool.
And lots of Godzilla. Is it the 50th anniversary of Godzilla?
Something like that.
Something like that.
It was definitely an anniversary.
It was a big anniversary, so yeah, that was cool.
Or a 50th anniversary of the film that's set in Tokyo or something like that.
Yeah.
But no, it was a nice room, and yeah, we finally got in there, and I think we had a nap, didn't we?
Yeah.
And it was just the most
And
glorious
a shower.
Yeah. Oh, it's weird. That's one thing I noticed as well in Japan. They don't have real like showers. They just have a room with a drain at the bottom, and then like a shower head that's stuck to it. So you're like, but they have a bath, and you're like, do you stand in the bath and have a shower, or do you just have the shower on the floor and it goes in the drain? I just went and did it on the floor.
Close the door and just spray everywhere.
Okay, that's why it took so long.
Yeah, that's what I did. It was very pleasant. Also, can we just have a moment to talk about the toilets?
I thought you would, yeah.
Because it was a fucking dream. I need a toilet to squirt water at my ass every day.
Yeah.
Like, I need that. Why are we in the UK still rubbing paper over our anuses?
Especially when it's not like the entire toilet bowl you need to change. It's just the seat. Because it's the seat, and then obviously it's connected to the cistern or whatever the thing is with the water. But it's like we've got a friend in Cardiff he said like it cost him £300. So it's probably quite a fancy one, but like £300, you just fix it like a toilet seat, and yeah, you can get it added to your own one.
And the seat is heated.
A lot of the time they are.
Like literally this morning, I was sat down to have my morning ritual, and was like, what is this cold seat about? Why is this not heated and ready for me? Like, the toilets are a dream. And also the toilets throughout the country. Like this isn't just at home or in a hotel room. This is, you go to a public toilet in the train station, and I went there and all the urinals were in use. So I thought, I'll have a sit down wee instead. And they were all like super nice toilets.
I went and had to sit down wee nearly every time just because I wanted to sit and get my bum warm.
Yeah.
And it was really nice. The only thing I don't like is their toilet roll, because the toilet paper is the thinnest thing.
Literally.
Every time I, went and dried myself, I got in touch with my inner self.
Genuinely. Your finger just sort of goes through the paper as it gets wet.
Yeah. Slip, and the next thing you know, your whole hand's up there.
Speak for yourself. But
But
the toilet paper's not good.
No.
But the toilet itself, a dream.
But there's some that have drying things for the bum.
I did not see a drying program.
Oh yeah, I think the plane had one.
Oh yeah. Even the plane squirts water up your ass.
Yeah,
like you never get that on a plane.
We flew Japan Airlines. That's why.
Well, yeah, there was only one that I saw that played music.
No, a couple played music. The last one in the airport played music as well.
Oh, did it?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't go there. It was the train station one played music, and I was really tempted to try it, but because it was a really busy toilet, I thought, and I know that's the point of it, is to play music so people don't hear. But then I thought people will go, we know what that guy's doing.
Well, you're in the toilet, so they probably, they know what you're doing anyway.
Well, I know, but I felt self-conscious playing music loudly. Anyway, the toilets were a dream. What I've then written is sushi dinner, which I couldn't remember, and then realised that was the one that we had beneath the hotel. Because
we were like, we can't go anywhere far because we might collapse at any point from our tiredness.
It's the worry when you're on holiday of, I don't want to go somewhere super touristy because I want to have good quality food, and you're thinking, well, if it's literally next to the hotel, is it somewhere really touristy and not very good, and overpriced? But then we were like, I can't be asked to go hunting for something because I'm just hungry and I want to go back to bed.
But if you go hunting for somewhere, what if you find somewhere that's really nice, but then they don't speak English, which there were a few places, and like that was our first day. We didn't want to go to, we want to go somewhere a little bit touristy where you knew they spoke English, and then you can
Just
build
for ease.
Yeah, and then you build up a bit of confidence by like learning. Obviously, we knew a couple of phrases that helped us, but then you become a little bit acclimatized and you realize that, a lot of restaurants you order online. Like there'll be a QR code that you go on and there's an English button there.
I mean, that's one of those things as well that, like you say, you become more confident. You don't know that until you really get there. And the language barrier in general was something that worried me a lot, thinking like, how are we going to get around? What's it going to be like going somewhere? But you quickly realize that through hand signals, you can do a lot. I mean, you walk into a restaurant and just hold up two fingers and they
This food is shit.
Yeah. You hold up two fingers and it's very obvious you want a table
Never
for
said
two,
that.
so it's fine. But also I think they're very well prepared where they have everything written out in front of them in English and Japanese. So, because they're expecting tourists, they're expecting people to speak Japanese.
Tokyo is it's the biggest city in the world, but it's also incredibly international. And I was saying this near the end, I was like, imagine if you're German and you don't speak English and you go to Japan, like what language do you speak? Because they don't speak German.
Yeah.
Like they'll have some basic, there are some that have very, very little English, but the languages that they speak is Japanese, English and Korean kind of. There's quite a bit of Korean. I saw there was like the 3 translations on most things.
And if there was a 4th, it would have been Chinese.
Yeah.
So the only like Western language was English.
Yeah.
So if you don't speak English, I mean, good luck to you. But it means that essentially they can just point to things in front instead of asking a question, or they'll ask it in Japanese, but they'll point to things. Then you can just say yes or no, or point back. So even just things like going to a convenience store, they might ask you in Japanese, "Do you want a bag?" And you might not know what that means, but they'll point to the
bag.
And
they have
and
like
go,
stickers,
and then you're good to go.
And it's funny, like there were some restaurants that had like laminated pieces of paper with things that they just point to.
Yeah,
and they like make you read it. And then you're like, and then that's it.
But I appreciate that because it meant they were prepared. There was no awkwardness of like trying to speak a different language or something. You're like, oh, you just point to what you want, and it's just everything works. It's organized and it's thought out, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, we'll come to it, I'm sure. But like the one thing that I was surprised where they spoke almost zero English was the Ayozia Cafe, because I was people go from around the world to go to the Ayozia Cafe, which is a Final Fantasy 14 themed cafe. The only one in the world, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I think so.
But like, so they go there for like, and there were loads of people there that were American.
Yeah, lots of Westerners.
Yeah, but nobody, and because we were trying to say we wanted to buy something. It was like a place. It was like a cup, like a big placemat, but it was like really nice. And they had them, and they were all on show and stuff. And I was like, oh, I'd like to go and buy one of those. And it took me, I had to get like Google Translate out.
Yeah.
And then they were trying to explain to me that you had to like make 50 orders. You had to order 50 items to get one of them.
You get a loyalty card.
Yeah, which I find bizarre because it's so impossible to get a seat there, a reservation there.
Well, it's not as impossible as Pokemon. We didn't do the Pokemon Cafe because we couldn't get in. Eorzea I booked relatively easily.
Okay.
But yeah, people like us will go once, and then that's our trip. So I think that's really for locals who are going to go again and again and get like 50 stamps in order to get this cool.
Which I'm not sure why. I mean, it was nice. I wouldn't say I'd go there.
Well, we'll get there. We'll get. No spoilers.
No spoilers. Well, we'll have to go there somewhere because we're already like 20 minutes in.
True.
And we've barely got off the plane.
Well, that was day one. We had sushi, and then we went to.
And it was really nice sushi. And one thing about the food I've noticed, and I mentioned it to you as well, is like it wasn't really expensive compared to London. It was cheaper. I would say it was generally 20%, 25% cheaper than London.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, each meal we maybe spent 15 to 20 quid, 25 quid.
Yeah,
for a lot of meals.
There was
that was stuff that would have cost twice that in London.
Yeah, there was some stuff that was a lot more because it was like really special, which we'll talk about.
Yeah,
but like the really special ones would have been triple in price.
We also had very cheap. We went the other end as well.
Well, the first day. Well, you didn't mention the first thing that you bought was a orange sandwich.
So,
an orange sandwich. Sorry, not just orange. What else was in it?
Whipped cream.
Whipped cream is for like the top of desserts. It's not for inside a sandwich.
So, I got a number of recommendations from TikTok.
Yeah, including one
Because
going up a fucking mountain.
Whilst I'm, that was a general thing. Whilst I'm, having my morning ritual and scrolling through social media, it tends to be TikTok, and I just started getting loads of Japan things. And
I just started ignoring them because you passed them on, forward them to me, and I'm just like, I don't.
Yeah, I know.
I don't
realize that.
read them anymore.
And people love Konbini, which are the convenience stores, and there's a few different sort of brands. They're on every corner. They're everywhere.
7-Eleven is my favorite.
And why is that?
They have more sweet things. They have the ATM has a really nice buttons to press.
Those were nice ATMs.
And our smoothie every morning, almost every morning, was incredible.
Well, that was a TikTok recommendation, so you're welcome. I mean, I say that it's a really obvious thing that you have there, but they have like frozen fruit in cups, and you go up and you pay for that, and then you go to the smoothie machine and you scan the barcode and you put it in, and it whizzes it up, and there's your smoothie. And we started doing that most mornings because that's just a really nice way to start
starting the day with like a really. It's not something you just do in Japan. It's something you can do any time as well.
Well,
but
exactly. But it's just convenient there.
Yeah, having a really convenient way to have a really fresh or frozen fruit smoothie is so nice. I had like the banana and pineapple one, which is like banana, pineapple, and like blueberries, strawberries. It was a perfect mix, but it wasn't for you, was it?
No, I don't like banana. I had
pineapple.
I had the blueberry
Do you
one.
Pineapple?
No. I had the blueberry one, which was just mixed berries, really, but it was very nice. So we had that, and then the other like viral sensation is the whipped cream sandwich. And normally it's just whipped cream, but then they have different fruits in, depending on the season. So I had one with mandarin in, and it was literally just very basic white bread with the crusts taken off.
They don't have any crust on their sandwiches. It's fantastic.
Which I'm going to presume that they whiz those up to make panko breadcrumbs as opposed to wasting it. But they cut the crumbs off, the crusts off. So it's just very basic soft white bread with some fairly tasteless whipped cream and some mandarins in it. And apparently people on TikTok are going wild for it.
I don't know why.
And I'm like, have you never eaten anything in your life before?
It's nice, but it's just exactly what you imagine. How you imagine it tastes is what it tastes like.
I could literally make that in the kitchen now and it would taste the same. Like,
oh, if only you would.
Oh, now you want one? Well,
beats.
There you go. But yeah, stuff. we had some convenience store food, which was on the cheaper end. Which
come over here
is,
a bit. You're over on.
Am I too far?
You're very far. We're both far.
I'm trying to get away from you. I spent too long with you.
That's true. Right. So.
That was all day one.
Wow.
Day two, we should. Day two, well, we started off with my favourite of the historical traditional things that we did, which was Meiji Jingu, which is a shrine in a big park that I've forgotten the name of.
Did you inscribe your initials in any torii gates?
I am not an elderly twat, so no.
Who's like 60?
Elderly.
Wow. Apologies to anybody 60 or over. Yeah, no, there was... I feel like it's been on the news here as well, or at least in the US. There was an American tourist who, when you see what he did, you're like, what? He was 64? Like, why? That sounds like something a kid would do. But yeah, he went to like a torii gate and inscribed his family's initials in there with his fingernail. I mean, cut your nails, but also, why would you do that? You're a bellend, and he's been arrested.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
Bellend. It's also like genuinely is the prettiest shrine that we went and visited the entire time.
Well, that's the thing. I feel like it was my favourite, but it was my favourite because it had the least tourists. And it had the least tourists. Fewest tourists, sure. Because we got there first thing in the morning. And that was one of the tips was when you're jet lagged, you wake up at 5, 6 in the morning. So just go and do shrines because the city's dead. Nothing opens till 11, as we said. So make the most of that time, go and do a shrine. And so we did that, and we did Meiji Jingu. And it's in this park with incredibly tall trees that form this canopy over the walkways. There was barely anyone there. It was the only day it rained as well. So we're there with our umbrellas, and you've got the pitter-patter of rain as you're just walking peacefully under these trees. And then you go through the torii gates into this shrine, and it was genuinely magical.
And it was the day before...
the Emperor's birthday.
The Emperor's birthday, yeah. I'm gonna find out when he was. Yeah, Meiji Jingu, the shrine, and it was for Emperor Meiji, who you saw constantly. Like I don't know much about Japanese history, although now I'm really interested. But he was the emperor of Japan from 1867 to 1912. So he was his reign was like 40 odd years or whatever, 45 years. But yeah, and I'm sure like I think during his reign, lots of things happened, obviously, but like lots of things that are still lasting now that are quite major places to visit and stuff. So yeah, his name was around everywhere, which I didn't realize because that was the first shrine we went to, and it wasn't majorly busy because of the rain, but also it was fresh, it was nice. It
was first thing in the morning.
Yes,
I do feel like had we done some of the other shrines first thing in the morning, we would have thought similarly. It's just that we did them at very popular times where there were lots of tourists, but we'll get to those. So that was beautiful, a really lovely start to the morning. I'm really glad we did that. And then after that, we went to Nakano Broadway, which is all these cool little vintagey shops and sort of in this cute mall, which feels quite 80s, I'd say.
Is that the one that wasn't where there was nothing open?
Yeah, nothing was open. So we walked round it. We didn't really do much, and then we sat in a coffee shop.
And that's when you had a bit of silk on because you realised that you'd wasted a few hours.
Well, yeah, I didn't want to feel like I'd wasted it, but it was like nothing was open. But then what can you do? And that's when we learned how to deal with time better. So after that, we went back to Shinjuku where we were staying, and we did some shopping instead.
Yeah, Shinjuku is great.
Yeah,
I just kept taking pictures because I'm like, I just love street photos of like little side streets, and that's what I found the most interesting. I find that interesting whenever I go to anywhere. It's just like, look at the kind of the side streets, what goes on down there. That's where the real place is. That's where.
Oh God, here we go.
No, I don't want to be touristy stuff, like really overly touristy areas and stuff kind of annoy me because it's just created for tourists. Whereas going and finding the streets that tourists don't really walk down, that's where, people who are living there, that's what they use. And that's where you see the real.
Well, you're saying that, Ben,
Tokyo.
But we went shopping in Uniqlo, which is where everybody is. So I wouldn't say we went down a small street.
Well, not that one. No, but like in Shinjuku, we did loads of things.
We did. We walked around everywhere. We did loads. Also, the bookshop where we found Famitsu was like just the most beautiful bookshop where everything is wrapped in cellophane and incredibly neat. I mean, Japan is not good with plastic.
Everything is wrapped in cellophane. Like you just saw there, that was the magazine, but the other magazines that we've got are all like Famitsu's are all wrapped in cellophane.
Everything's wrapped in cellophane, but the books are so neatly organized and everything is pristine and it's super quiet and even just walking around the city when we were doing this shopping, one of the things that really struck me is how quiet it is. And that's not to say it's quiet. It's just quiet compared to like London or New York or wherever else, where it's full of taxis and beeping horns and people shouting in the streets and whatever. It's just like most of the cars are electric. Everyone is just calmly getting on with their day. Everyone is just being respectful to one another and not being overly outspoken. And just, it feels calm, even though it is the most ridiculously big metropolis that's like its own other planet. It still feels oddly calm.
That's the one thing I noticed was that, it is like the most populated metropolitan city or wherever area city in the world with like 40 million people. But one thing I did notice was there weren't any, like it was almost always easy to go and get a seat somewhere. Like if you wanted to go and eat somewhere, you could just walk up, and most of the places you could walk up to, there were tables available. Even there was one where we went with your friend Tom, streamer.
We're about to do that.
Yeah, we went to a restaurant there. Oh God, I'm gonna have to tell you the story, aren't I?
Oh my God, I forgot that.
I did until now.
Yes.
Shit. We went there, and it was like a really small place where they had lots of food and drinks.
It was izakaya.
But they're like, oh yeah, we've got a table, come in.
Yeah.
And like it was mainly full, but I don't know, everything seemed to be about 80% full. So there's always you're always able to go and have somewhere to eat, have somewhere to drink, or have something to eat. Like there was never. It's not. I'm comparing it to London, where if you want to go out and eat somewhere and you just wander around, you're not going to find anywhere.
No.
Or there'll be a massive, massive wait somewhere, and you have to book everything. Whereas there, you can just kind of walk up.
Because there's just enough places. I mean, there were definitely places with queues.
Yeah.
And you can tell the places that are popular
on TikTok.
but because of TikTok. but also you can go to just a random place and it's probably going to be good food and you'll be fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that evening we then met up with.
Oh, I know about the donut. We had a Pokemon donut.
That was the next day, Ben.
Oh, sorry. Is that on your list?
It is on the list.
Oh, I will never.
Somewhere. Do you know what? That was 3 days later. So you're jumping the gun. Wait for the list, Ben. So that evening we met up with Nintentom, who you might know from Twitch, who is lovely and almost as tall as you.
Yes, but not.
So
I like him.
So big shout out to Nintentom, who I'd sort of said beforehand, hey, we're coming to Tokyo. Let's meet up and please tell us about what we should and shouldn't do. So we went out to an izakaya and we had quite a lot.
What is an izakaya?
It's a Japanese inn, I think is the sort of correct equivalent. But essentially, it's kind of like a pub, and you have food and drink. I think it's hard to find somewhere that's just a bar.
It's an informal Japanese bar that serves alcoholic drinks and snacks. They're casual places for after-work drinks.
But then you say snacks, and what we had was was a huge plate of sashimi that came with dry ice in a very dramatic flourish.
It's very cool.
Which was just some of the best sashimi ever, but it's in a random bar.
You have to climb up some tiny stairs, and you walk in a bit, and you look, and they look at you as like, "Do we know you?" And you're like,
and
no.
luckily Nintendo speaks Japanese, so we were good. But even then, if we were just like 2 people, they would have been like, "Yeah, come in." And one of the waitresses spoke English.
Yeah,
so
I think she was
fine.
From South America.
We had some really nice food, had a really nice catch up, and a lot of sake, which was great.
Yeah,
and then we had a walk to the gay area.
Oh, you don't want me to tell you the story?
Oh, yes. Tell us the story that happened in the izakaya, Ben.
Oh, this is like...
after all that sake.
Needed to pee.
Yeah.
So I went to the toilet and I don't know why I'm saying this. Like, this is my therapy, is getting out. But so, yeah, I went to
you certainly did get it out.
Yeah. Well, I went to the toilet first because I was busting for pee because I was drinking all sorts. And they only had one toilet. Oh, they had one toilet for men and one toilet for women. It was just like a sliding door. So I went there, locked it and did my business. One thing as well about the toilets there, they have a very high water level in the toilets.
Yes.
Like if you're a really old man, your balls are getting a wash in piss.
Wow.
Every single time you go for a sit down. So yeah, no, I went in there, had a pee, and I think I'd been very dehydrated. It was very yellow. And
that's a detail I didn't need to know.
Well, you got it. And yeah, did the little squirty thing, so it was all nice, and couldn't for the life of me find the flush. Genuinely could not find the flush anywhere. It wasn't on the panel on the side. I was
going to say,
Google...
so the Japanese toilets, you have your panel on the side with various buttons. And a lot of the time there's a symbol, so you can tell the one that's a front squirt or a back squirt or whatever. But sometimes the actual flush, the one button that you really need to know, is not clear. Yeah,
and I was there with my Google Lens. And I forgot to mention as well, there was somebody that knocked on the door and seen if, they tried the door. So they were obviously waiting, and I could hear them outside, waiting for me to finish. So I couldn't be like, I'm going to spend 10 minutes trying to find where the flush is. And yeah, no, I was Google lensing the panel on the side, and it was just like, big wash, big bum wash, and spray, oscillate. I didn't try it. I never tried oscillate. Did you?
No. Does that go front to back?
I don't know if it just goes all around. You've made a big mess. But like none of the 28 buttons that were on that thing said flush. And yeah, and I was like, I genuinely cannot find the flush anywhere. And I remember like standing back looking at it going, no idea where this fucking flush is forever. And the guy, and I'm like, I need to leave. Like I can't go, but like there's a person waiting outside at the door, and there's a big full bowl of orange piss, and I don't know what to do. I was really panicked, and I had a few drinks as well, so I was like, I don't know, I wasn't thinking clearly. So I just opened the door and pointed, and I was like, where's the button? I don't know the button. And I don't know the button, and the guy was like, really, because they're just so polite, and I feel like the really embarrassing situation like that, they won't go back and tell all their friends and laugh about it because they're just really polite.
Oh, he probably did.
Oh, yeah, but you don't get that impression.
No.
And he looked quite concerned and came into the cubicle. It was quite big, the cubicle. And I was just pointing at my bowl of piss because also there's no lid on it either, is there? They don't have an actual, a full-on lid.
Some do.
Well, that one didn't. So I'm just there pointing at it going, I don't know how to press. And he was like, oh, okay. And his English was zero, but other than like, okay. And I'm just there going, and just left.
You just walked out?
Just walked out.
Oh, God.
I was mortified. I'm so glad I had a few drinks because I don't think I wouldn't have slept that night.
The thing is, you then came back to the table and told me and Tom that.
Yeah.
And I
needed to get it out.
I then really needed a wee, and I was like, well, now I'm scared to go because am I going to find the flush or am I going to struggle? I don't want the same situation again.
Was it all gone when you'd gone in?
Yeah.
So the other guy
found it. I mean, this was like 10, 15 minutes later that I went. But I made sure to literally look at absolutely everything. And what I then found, not on the panel, but on the actual side of the toilet bowl.
Like at the back. Yeah.
Was like a little sort of switch that you could sort of turn back and forth. And so I sort of turned it and then turned it back and then it flushed. So it was not on the panel on the side. And it's also not a kind of typical Western flush. It was just like a little weird little switch on the side that, to be fair, was quite difficult to see. But because you'd warned me, I sort of knew to look for something. And I just saw that and just flicked it, hoping for the best. And it started flushing and I was like, great, I'm good to go. So that was fun.
That was embarrassing.
Yeah.
Glad I got it out and it'll never be spoken of again.
Well, until people watch this on repeat and clip it. Please do. Then we went to the gay area.
Yeah.
To go to some gay bars and see what it was like, just because we were interested to see, like, well, what's the gay scene like?
Oh, but on the way there as well, we went through, like, the izakayas. There's, like, a district where it's just loads and loads of tiny izakayas that are, like, 6 seats maximum in there.
Yeah, most are about 3 or 4.
Yeah.
And one person's, like, half out the door.
Yeah.
Like, they're tiny bars, and you can just bar hop between them all, which we actually didn't end up doing, but would have been quite cool, I think.
Yeah, next time.
Yeah, I think that's when you get chatting to the bar owner, and they probably speak quite good English, I imagine. And
yeah,
that's probably quite a good thing to do early on to get some tips.
Or if we've got 2 years of hopefully learning a bit, maybe not on Duolingo, but with actual lessons, then we might be able to actually chat.
We should do that.
Yeah.
So yeah, we went to the gay area and went into a bar. What was the bar called?
It's called the Eagle, but it's not as seedy as the Eagles in other places.
Yeah.
Although we didn't venture too far down the back.
And it turns out sort of bears are quite popular in Japan.
Yeah. They were quite rare.
There were 2 very muscular guys in very small, revealing sort of sumo nappies.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, well, I bet you do. Who were having pictures taken, and the back was going right up.
Yeah.
There was a lot on show. Speaking of a lot on show, the decor of said bar was interesting.
It was graphic. Very graphic.
Some graphic manga along the side.
I think it's called. Is it hentai? Is it hentai if it's? Oh, there's a special name for it, isn't there?
Is hentai specifically female?
I have no idea, but there is a special name. Is it like gory or no? There's something, but I'm gonna find what it is.
Well, when you it's going to come up with pictures.
No, because I sent it. I sent a picture of it to a friend who was like, "Oh, it's the blah blah blah," and I'm like, "Oh, is it?"
I mean, it was a number of nude male figures with various masks on and various things that were happening and fingers inside things, and there was a lot going on.
Yeah.
Which I think we spent a lot of time just looking at in shock.
Yeah, I can't find what it's called. Let me see. It's called... I just typed in gay graphic manga and it came up with Heartstopper. I'm like, if only.
Wow. I wouldn't call that graphic.
No. Anyway, there's a name for it and I'm sure someone will post it.
Someone will say it in the comments.
Yeah. Oh, Bara.
Bara?
Yeah, Bara.
Oh.
Yeah, like gay manga.
There we go. What I will say is that the bar was basically full of Westerners. There were some locals, but there were a lot of Westerners there.
Oh, it can vary in visual style and plot, but typically features masculine men with varying degrees of muscle, body fat, and body hair, akin to bear or bodybuilding culture. While Bara is typically pornographic, the genre has also depicted romantic and autobiographical subject material.
That was not romantic.
No, as it acknowledges the varied reactions to homosexuality in modern Japan. Yeah, I mean, there's, it was very graphic. There were things that I can't really speak about on YouTube, but fingers going places.
Yes, multiple
Yeah.
fingers in multiple places.
Mm.
So there we go. That was fun. So yeah, shout out to Nintendo Tom for taking us out.
Thank you very much.
Very much appreciated. The next day, we did some more early morning stuff. We went to the Imperial Palace Gardens.
Yes, we didn't get drunk that night, but we
No.
went to the Imperial Palace, which was very beautiful.
Yep. And before that, I've written school dancing, which was fun. So, because we got off at Tokyo Station and saw sort of that area, which is next to the Imperial Gardens. And I'm guessing because of the Emperor, there were loads of school kids who were basically doing sort of traditional dancing in the street. So there was this one street that everyone was sort of lined up down the sides. And then each school, I think there were schools, were taking turns to sort of do traditional dances down, which was just really lovely to see. Just to stumble upon something like that happening in the street was really cool. And then we walked around the Imperial Palace Gardens. You can't go in the palace, but you can go around the gardens, which are very, very lovely. Even though I think that's where I got bitten by insects. So fuck them.
I've got to say thank you very much, because I normally get bitten by loads of things on holidays, but
no, I always do.
when I'm with you, everything just bites you instead.
Yeah, it's annoying. But yeah, that was really lovely. And again, that was an early morning thing, so that was cool. Then we went back to the station and we went to Character Street, where it's basically... So just sort of brief sidebar. Every station, or at least the big ones, almost every single one is a massive shopping mall. So you come out of the station and then you're just going straight into shops and stuff, and it's impossible to find the exit. But it means that there are loads of just really cool shops in every station, which is weird.
Before Character Mall, though, we went to... Because it was Shibuya, wasn't it? Shibuya Station.
No, it's Tokyo Station.
Oh, yeah. Was it afterwards when we went to Shibuya with the Pokemon Center? Because talk about things that we got.
It was after that.
Oh. Because we got a special...
Oh, no, that was Tokyo Station.
Oh, it was Tokyo Station.
Yes. There we go.
It is. At the Pokemon Center at Tokyo Station, we got a special... Of course, it literally says Tokyo Station on him.
Yeah,
special Pikachu dressed as a train conductor.
I've just realised we didn't get the plain one from the airport, but that's because I didn't see the machine for it.
Things were closed when we got to the airport.
Oh, that's also true.
We'll go next time. We'll get one next time. But yeah, so we've got a Pikachu. We're going to probably have a Pokemon area in on the Kallax, because I also got a Charizard. I was going to get a couple of other ones, but I was like, no, what? I'm not. And then I got the Charizard instead.
Yeah, very nice. So yeah, that was on Character Street. So Character Street is literally underneath Tokyo Station. And it's just loads of small shops dedicated to all your kind of big characters. There's a big Pokemon Center. There was
One Piece.
There was Sanrio. There was Miffy. There was
Ghibli.
Whatever else. And the Kirby Cafe.
There was, yeah, which we didn't bring in here.
We didn't. Because the day before I had tried to win a Kirby in a vending machine or a claw machine. And it was in Nakano Broadway. And it was not having it. And I was very annoyed. So then we found the little Kirby Cafe. It's not the one you sit down in, but it's the store for it.
I'm going to pause so you can get Kirby, Chef Kirby. And we're back. Oh, yeah, this is my Charizard that I got, which I thought I just had to buy it because it had the goofiest little teeth.
They are pretty goofy.
Yeah, so got myself a Charizard, which was my favourite, or one of my favourites as a kid. I used to love, obviously, Mew, because it's weird and unusual. And, yeah, also Charizard, Charmander, Charmeleon, and Charizard, and also the Abra, and then Alakazam. Those are my favourites.
It's very fluffy as well.
It's really fluffy.
So yeah, and then from the Kirby Cafe, I got a Chef Kirby.
Yes. Oh, not only that though.
Well, not with us anymore was the Kirby that was a sort of strawberry moussey thing that I then ate in the...
You demolished. I barely got a mouthful of that.
Demolished that in the hotel afterwards, because it was a wobbly Kirby that obviously I had to have, of course.
There are pictures.
Yes, so I had to get a little Chef Kirby because he's adorable. Yeah. So that was Character Street. And then...
I got myself a little One Piece, but he's not here. But yeah, that's one thing. Since I was there, like I've never ever read manga, like ever.
No.
And being there and seeing it like everyone loves it, and I don't know, I got wrapped up and ended up buying at the end of the holiday. I went and bought.
That's not like you to get wrapped up in something.
So I like the One Piece that I've seen on Netflix and the first few episodes that I've seen of the anime. And I was like, why don't I go the whole hog and get some of the manga? So at the end of the holiday, I got like I think it's the first 3 books or something in one.
In English.
In English,
which we had to hunt for.
We had to hunt for, and it is imported, and it's cheaper in the UK. But I was like, I'd like to have the first one that I get bought in Japan, just for sentimental reasons. So I got that, and also My Hero Academia. I guess the premise sounded quite good, and I think people like it.
After that, we went to Shibuya, did some more shopping, which is, you may have noticed, I'm wearing new glasses, which is where I got these, which was another TikTok thing of everyone saying, go to Japan and buy glasses because you can get them basically made in 30 minutes. Unfortunately, I had to wait a week because they did not have the blue light lenses in stock.
But then a week later, when you went to pick them up, I was like, well,
you got some as well.
I got some that are very similar to yours. And because it was the same lens blue light thing as yours, I was able to get mine within like an hour.
Yeah. But yeah, if you go to Japan, it's super cheap and super quick. So get some of these glasses. So we did that. And we then went to Shibuya Sky, which is something you have to book in advance and was a bit of a touristy thing that I'd heard was cool to do. So we booked it and we did it. And it's a really tall building and you go to the top and you look out over the city. And lots of people want to do it at sunset, and it's impossible to get tickets for sunset.
Oh, yeah.
Because everybody wants to do it. So we decided, let's do it late at night, well, 8 p.m., where the city is dark and you can kind of look out and see it all lit up. And we had a nice picture taken professionally in the corner, and it's a really lovely view. And it's wild that the city is so big that you just see this sea of lights in darkness just in every direction as far as you can see it, well into the horizon. Like there's no, you see it at night, you can see a few dark spots which are effectively parks where there's no lights, but other than that, it's just a sea of lights everywhere, which is really amazing to see. And then I had my slight low point after that.
That was, because I found that like we went on at one point we were quite far away from like the very center of Tokyo, and there were still like skyscrapers and huge blocks of flats that you would see in like a city center, in like a major capital city center in Europe. Like, but this was 5 miles away from the center. It was, it's just huge.
And you can tell already, we've already done a lot by this point, but obviously in the back of my head is, we haven't done enough.
Also
which is why I made this list.
Shibuya Sky was nice, but a bit too high up for me.
Yeah, you're not good with heights, which is surprising for a tall person.
Yeah, no, I don't like heights. Really don't like heights. And, you know,
there was more of that to come.
Yeah. Don't like climbing things as well.
Which was your decision. So the next day, we then went to Ueno Park, which was not as parky as I thought it was going to be honest. But
which one was that one?
That was the one where the museum was, which we thought was closed, but it wasn't. And we went to a little shrine on the side, and it's not like a big green open park. It's like there's a walkway, and there were loads of people just out having a walk, but loads of families. I think that was the national holiday day on the Monday. So there were just loads of families like just out walking, which was nice, but I probably wouldn't go back there. And then we went to the Tokyo National Museum.
Yeah.
And had a walk around that, which was quite nice. We did not go in the Hello Kitty exhibit because there were no tickets.
No.
That was very popular.
I like a museum, but I don't know. Once you've seen a bunch of pots, I don't get any enjoyment from looking at old pots.
There were a lot of old pots. There were also a lot of Buddha. And
they were almost identical.
Yeah, I didn't realise there were so many different Buddhas, but they also kind of all look the same.
Wow. It's quite funny as well. They're like, you can't photograph this one. This one you can, but this one you can't. And I think it's because the people who donated it have been like, yeah, this one shouldn't be. But I also think like a Buddha temple, you can't take photos, but a Shinto shrine, you can.
Yeah.
There are rules with that. So, I'm probably speaking a lot of nonsense with what I'm saying. But yeah, there are ones that, I don't know. I like to see something, and it'd be really cool to see it. But when I'm on like the 8th of what I'm looking at, I'm a bit like, yeah, I need a new experience. And I felt that a little bit with the shrines that you carted me off to see numerous times. Like after a time, you're like, okay,
didn't do that many.
It's another shrine.
We didn't do that many. Yeah, the museum was all right. It was all right. It was nice to be inside for a bit and just have a bit of history and walk around a bit.
And I worked out the way to Yeah, and it took after a while, I was able to be like, "This is how far ahead I need to be for you to kind of pick your shoes up."
And we go a bit quicker.
Yeah.
I like to read everything.
What do you remember? Nothing. So
No,
therefore,
but in the moment, I was.
oh,
I
you know,
was
you did learn
appreciating it.
about the difference between a samurai blade and a
Oh yeah, there's. Oh no, I can't remember what the other one's called. There's a katana,
yeah.
and then there's another type that I've forgotten the name of, and they had most of the other type, and it's about where they're worn. If the blade faces up or down, because the longer ones facing down were worn by people on horseback, so they were sort of like swiping upwards along. Hence, the blade is
Is it
down, so it hits.
Uchi
That's the one. No,
or Tachi? I think maybe Tachi.
maybe it was that. And then katanas have the blade facing up because then they're sort of held upwards, and then you strike down from people who were on foot.
Yeah.
And so that was the one thing I learned from there, which was, great to know about.
Yeah, and then you see the 50th one, and you're like, and it's not even like attached to anything. It's just here's the blade.
Well, because all the different parts are sort of individually made, and they want to show them all off. And anyway, Ben had a great time.
I think I was thirsty.
You were. Then we went to the Eorzea Cafe that
Yeah,
afternoon.
which was in
Akihabara.
yes, which is the gamer nerd incel capital.
Not incel, the capital.
There were a few.
So we...
Usually tourists.
Oh, there's lots of tourists around, yeah. So we went to the Eorzea Cafe and had some fairly average food, but it was a fun experience.
Yeah, well, I think I've got a few of the... Did I bring one in here?
I don't think you did.
Oh.
We got some... You get... Basically, your entrance fee, I think, was like essentially 15 quid, but that gives you a free drink, and a coaster of your choice. So they give you... And this is what we couldn't work out then with the waiters or wait staff, was how to fill it out, because you had a piece of paper that you could tick your drink and your coaster on, but everything else you ordered was on the iPad. And we're like, well, do we order... Which do we do it on? And no one came to collect the piece of paper, and we were like, well, do we order there? But if we order on the iPad, then
I don't think they contradicted
confusing.
themselves. There were a couple of people that were... One woman was like, yeah, you just tell me, don't write it down. And then the other guy was coming around collecting the pieces of paper. So
Yeah.
I'm going to go and get the coasters because I also need a drink.
Okay.
So back in a sec. Back, and I've had a water.
Good.
I've been watered.
So yeah, you get a drink each, and then you can choose your coaster. So what drink did you have?
I think I had I based it on what looked nice to drink rather than which one I wanted.
Yeah, I had the Graha Tia because I wanted to taste Jonathan Bailey.
Did you?
I did. It was good.
Yeah.
I can't remember what it was, but it was good. And we both went for our job coasters. So I had the Pictomancer.
Which you can't see if you're listening to this on a podcast.
No, but it's the artwork for the Pictomancer.
Very nice.
And you had the Samurai.
The samurai. There we go. There's a samurai.
And then...
Let's not go through every one of them.
No, I'm not going to. And then basically you then... It's like gacha.
Yes, there's
like-
gacha everywhere.
Yeah. But every drink you get, they just give you a coaster wrapped up, and you can't choose it, and you open it, and then we got a load more.
So yeah,
and that's every drink and bit of food that you have as well.
We'll have to do something with them, put them somewhere, because we can't put nobody's putting their drink on that.
No, we don't want to ruin them.
Yeah.
I also had the Alphano. Shout out to Colin Ryan. I wanted to drink him as well.
Wow.
Which was a sort of lychee cold thing, but with whipped cream on top and white chocolate.
And the Thancred, the Thancred was alcoholic.
Obviously.
Yeah, which we told Peter.
Yeah. The adults all had alcoholic drinks, and then the children characters were all soft drinks.
Yeah.
Which was quite funny. The food was a bit average, but it was a fun experience. I'm glad that we did it.
Yeah.
I also bought the vinyl of
Dawn Trail
single because the artwork's nice, which
Why
is
not?
a typical thing that I do. We did some more shopping in Akihabara after that, but we did more of that later, so we'll come back to it.
I went to the famous Super Potato, which was cool.
It's famous because it's famous with tourists.
Yeah.
But thanks to everyone who told us to go. We did. Actually, I bought a thing in there. Then we had the next day, which started with, as you spoiled earlier, donuts.
Yes, we had donuts.
We went to Mr. Donut.
Mr. Donut had.
Which has its Pokemon collaboration.
Yeah.
which was
It's
nice.
wild because like here you think, oh, Pokemon collaboration is going to be this massive thing, but like loads of places there have Pokemon collaborations. Like this is just a donut shop.
Yeah. But they have, it's like a mochi donut. So it's just a ring donut and it's glazed, but the dough is really like chewy, like a mochi. Oh, it was so good. I could have eaten more of those.
We only had it once.
I know.
Should have gone back.
We should have gone back. So we did. This was a really, really busy day, but it was our last day in Tokyo, so we wanted to tick off a load of things. So we had the donuts. Then we went to Shinjuku Goyen Gardens, which was, to be fair, beautiful. Which I think is where
there you go.
there was like the pool with the nice building.
Oh yeah, that was
all,
very
all the
pretty.
trees. I think that's where a lot of the cherry blossom trees are, and obviously we were in autumn, so there weren't any cherry blossoms.
And it was autumn, but it, like the leaves hadn't really changed at all, so it was just very green.
Yes, we were a little bit too early for the changing of colours was later this year than previously. But that was really beautiful. Then we walked back to our hotel via the Square Enix office so that we can have a picture with the Square Enix sign. And there's a cafe there as well, which is not different to the Aorzia cafe, but you can go in, you don't book it, you just go in. And it's quite small, but it's quite cute. It's next to the office. And then we had teppanyaki, which was the best steak of my fucking life.
Yeah. What is teppanyaki?
Teppanyaki is where basically you have a chef in front of you who just grills everything, and it's a bit of sort of showmanship.
It's a performance.
Not just a meal. It's a full experience. And the thing is, I booked it the day before, and I realized, and this is a good top tip, if you want good, like if you want to have like a fancy meal, because this is one of I'd say 3 fancy meals that we had. Go at lunchtime because it's literally half the price.
I couldn't believe how much cheaper it was for the same stuff.
Yeah. I think it was like, I can't remember, but it was literally half the price.
Yeah, you paid for it.
So.
Wow,
it was
cheapskate.
Yeah, but it was like multi-courses, and they just kept bringing bits, and then the guy in front of us was like, how would you like your steak cooked? And then they cook it in front of you, and you get it with like fried rice. And I just watching him slice that steak with the sharpest knife and just slicing through it, and it was perfectly cooked. And then he put it in front of us with like a bit of wasabi, and then there was this like garlic soy thing and the salt and the dipping sauce, and oh my fucking god, it was amazing.
And what was the rice that he made? He made like a rice,
It was just fried rice.
but like he made it into like a paper thing.
Oh, so it was the
Garlic.
pre-cooked rice, and then they fried a bit of garlic and fried it all off and mixed it all up on the teppanyaki thing. And then he got like a spoonful of it and then scraped it really, really thin, and let it go like crispy, and then sort of scraped it off the grill so it curled back on itself like paper. But it was like crispy, super thin rice.
Rice paper.
Yeah, but like crispy as that. And he was like, "This is a snack," and I was like, "Oh, this is amazing."
Yeah.
Like just the entire meal was so good.
like
Oh my god, the braised beef that we had just before the steak.
I thought we were going to talk about the fire that nearly singed that old
also
lady's
did that.
eyebrows off.
Yeah, he got like a little
It was
little mini saucepan kind of thing.
Yeah, with brandy, wasn't
with
it?
brandy that he then set on fire and put over the steak.
It just went up, and then he was like,
make movie. So everyone gets their cameras out. I say everyone. There were
that's the thing as well.
3 couples just sat around this counter. That was it.
And we
So
were
it was
the
really
only
small.
non-Japanese ones as well, which is just nice. And that's the thing as well about Tokyo. It's obviously an international city, and we were going into kind of like international and touristy areas. We were in Shinjuku, then Shibuya, but I never felt like it was like I felt a complete minority as a non-Japanese person, which I never felt. We'll talk about it later in like Kyoto and other places where you go there, like really tourist hotspots. Like imagine like Venice probably is and stuff. But yeah, like everywhere we went, I don't know, you just felt like the people that surrounded you were Japanese. There were people there that were living and working there, which I really liked.
It was
really
super
enjoyed.
cool. Like that was just one of the best meals of my life. It was so good.
Yeah, every bit of that food was delicious.
Yeah, and like I said, this braised beef, like this one bit of beef in broth that was just been slow cooked that just melted in your mouth, and it was
Ed likes food and knives.
Fucking love food and
But it was weird because it was like it was on like the 6th floor of this tiny. Well, I say tiny building. Like it was quite a thin building, but it was on like the 6th floor. You had to go in this kind of dodgy elevator. It was above a bit of a dodgy department store. It was just a weird place. And then, hey, here's this incredible restaurant.
Yeah.
But it's really small as well. It's like the restaurant itself was about the size of our flat.
Yeah. Yeah,
including the kitchen.
it was so good.
And also okay, we'll keep going. Especially we were at the table while they were doing it, but they also had like these kind of booths with discreet doors that they close.
That's where the Yakuza was at.
It wasn't. There was a man and a woman sat there, probably for some privacy away from people like us.
Or the Like a Dragons, as we kept saying.
Yeah,
so
we
can't really say the word Yakuza out loud.
Yeah. Well, no, because we were comparing it a lot to the game, because I played a lot of them, and I'm want to be like, oh, this is just like it was, because we'll talk about it later, but we went to a place where...
It's literally the next thing, so keep going.
Like a Dragon. So we went to... I want to say Yoko Ono, but no. Yokohama.
You were close.
Yoko Ono, very different. Yokohama. Yeah, I'm trying to think how they pronounce it. Which is where Like a Dragon, or Yakuza Like a Dragon, is set. Or at least the bit that I've played, the 20 hours at the beginning of the game that I've played so far, is pretty much all of it been in Yokohama. Except for the very, very beginning bit, which was where we were staying in Shinjuku. But yeah, so we went to Yokohama because you were like, Ben, what do you want to do? Because you had a realization that you were kind of planning everything.
Well,
no, we agreed. There were lots of things we did together.
It wasn't a sudden realization at that point. I was very aware of it, but I was a bit like, I've been dragging you around, so the evening is for you to decide what to do.
So I was like, let's go to Yokohama, because we realized that it was like 20 minutes on the train, even though it's the second biggest city in Japan, even though it's part of Tokyo.
It's
like attached to Tokyo.
It's been absorbed.
Yeah.
Really.
But it is apparently the second most populated city, if you count Tokyo as the center or whatever, and not the greater area as a city. And so we went there, and we went on the big wheel. So we got off there, and I didn't realize that it was massive. So I remember people that have been to Yokohama, and they've taken pictures of like all the locations that are pretty much the same locations in the game. And after a few seconds, I realized, oh yeah, we can't walk over to that place where that photo was taken, because that's a 47-minute walk. I'm like, yeah, this is quite a big place.
Yeah.
So luckily,
that's like a lot of Japan, really.
Yeah. So we were very close to where they have the big wheel. The big Ferris wheel with a clock on it.
Yeah, it's like an amusement park.
Yeah, there's an amusement park, and
with a roller coaster, which we did not go on.
Yes, and a splashing coaster, and
because after the steak lunch, we were quite full and thought, don't really want to go on rides.
But I was like, while we're here, this Yokohama, that we're in, this is something a little bit different. There were very few tourists around there, if any, and it was like a bunch of people, like, I don't know, just having a nice evening. It wasn't really busy, and we were like, should we go on the big wheel? Because I know the big wheel, I haven't been on it. I don't think I've even been to that place in Like a Dragon, although I know it's in there, the Ferris wheel and the amusement park. I haven't been there yet, but I was like, well, let's do it, because then when I get to that part, I can be like, oh yes, it is just like in real life. And yeah, we went on there, and then I realized as we were going up, I'm like, oh shit, this is really, really high.
It's a really fucking big Ferris wheel.
And it's the biggest, I love it. It's like, this is the world's tallest Ferris wheel with a clock. I'm like,
because the middle has the time on it.
And it uses the spokes, if they are called that, as like times. But I'm also like, it could be like the world's biggest Ferris wheel with a tomato in the middle. Like, it is a very random thing to say.
But it's also quite an old school style of Ferris wheel. It's not like, the London Eye or something. It feels almost as big as that, but it's like a sort of rocking carriage that you're in as you're going all the way up.
And the wind, and this was at night, and the wind was blowing through like the gaps in the window. And then I
wouldn't say I felt hugely safe.
No, and it was like rocking, because it was really, really windy, which I didn't realize until we were getting really high up, and we're rocking around with the wind, and then every now and again it would stop because there'd be something at the bottom of the person, and I'm like, I just want to get off this.
Yeah.
But also it was a really nice view.
It was a really nice view, and I'm glad that we did it.
Yeah, I am as well.
Which is like a lot of things we did. I wouldn't do it again, but I'm glad that we did it.
Yeah.
So that was nice. And then we went back to Tokyo to Sensoji, which was a shrine that I had on my list, and you were like, oh, I've seen the shrine. I was like, oh yeah, that's on the list. But we did it there in the dark.
Which one was that one?
It was the one where all the shops were closed, but you're meant to walk through all the shops.
Oh,
and
yes.
And then there was a really nice shrine at the end. But because it was nighttime, it was a lot quieter.
And a pagoda.
Nice. Yeah. So that was nice. And then we went for some conveyor belt sushi.
Oh, yeah, that was nasty.
Which was probably the worst meal that we had.
Yeah, that was nasty. There was salmon, and I'm like, that colour of salmon isn't normal.
No. It was, I can't remember the chain. It's a chain. I can't remember the name of it now. And this was the flagship one of it. And it, again, was in a department store. And you go up and you get your ticket and you wait for your name to be called. And then you go to your booth. And there's various bits going around on the conveyor belt, but you can also order. And we just ordered because I thought, I don't want to know how long that's been going around a belt. So we just ordered it fresh. And I still think it was not that fresh. And it wasn't the best sushi in the world. But
No,
it also
definitely
wasn't particularly expensive, and it was
Oh, it was
quite
really
convenient,
cheap.
and it was fine. So
Yeah, we were full and it was like £15.
I
each.
also had a tiramisu.
Yeah, and you were not happy. You gave it a 4 out of 10.
It was not a very good tiramisu. I mean, I didn't expect it to be.
There was no coffee. Oh, I had a really nice dessert, whatever that was, with bits of biscuit and.
Oh, it was
all
like
sorts.
a jar of like loads of layers of stuff. in
Yeah.
it.
There was like 3 times more expensive than any of the other ones, even though I'm not sure why. But anyway,
Well,
probably
there
because
we
it was
go.
the only fresh thing there.
Yeah. So that was the last day in Tokyo, and the next day we went to Kyoto, but we didn't go to Kyoto. We went to Otsu, which is this kind of sleepy little town on a lake about 20 minutes outside of Kyoto. And we went there to a ryokan, which is a sort of traditional Japanese
house.
bathhouse, I guess,
Yeah.
/ hotel kind of vibe. And I think both of us have said it was the best thing that we did the entire trip. And I know some people, Brenda and other people, have maybe not had the best experience in a ryokan because they can be very old school, a bit too traditional, and maybe not that nice. But we, I guess, were lucky and picked
Very
a good
lucky.
one. And I think that's because we went outside of a big city. We went to a little town. So it was...
Yeah,
it
and
was
thanks to Reddit for that. Because when I was looking for ryokans, a lot of people on Reddit was like, yeah, they get them in Kyoto, but they're expensive and not the best. Go to a town, a ryokan town or a onsen town like Otsu. And so I was like, okay, I'll have a look. And then found it.
Yep.
You're welcome.
And the main reason I agree to it is because I looked at the menu. Because the reason you go to these places is the onsen, which is your kind of hot bath.
But you're naked.
But you're naked in public with other people. And then you get a sort of multi-course traditional meal for dinner. And this one was like, we specialize in local beef and whatever. And I was like, yep, that sounds good. Let's book that. So that was part of the reason that we did it. And we arrived. It was like a 20-minute walk from the station, which we probably could have got a bus
We
for, but
should
never
have got a
mind.
bus for. And yeah, when we went back, we got like the shuttle bus from the hotel. And we were like, why the fuck did we walk along these tiny little streets that didn't really have a
was quite
pavement
hot
or
as
anything
well.
in the heat with these massive suitcases that were making a right racket dragging behind?
But we arrived slightly sweaty, and
Oh my god, they were just the most
staff.
polite people.
Yeah. Like, again, because it was in a smaller town, like, not very much English, but you're still, you still point to things, and with a few words, you can get around things.
Yeah, like
they were just so eager to please and like, look after you.
nothing was ever too much.
No.
Like, we sat there like, oh, please, oh, thank you. And, like, they come in, they bow. Like, bowing culture is just, I don't know, it makes you feel really special. But, like, they sat us down on the sofas, and then they actually came and sat down on the sofa with us to explain everything. And
Yeah. And held up a sheet with the massage options, and we were like, yes.
That one.
Get us that immediately.
But she was like, oh, yeah, that one. She's like, oh, it's not available until 2:30. And I'm like, that's in 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Like, I can...
That's fine.
I can go to the room, but like, yeah, I think we had an extra hour. But oh my god, that was the nicest.
Yeah, and like they take you to the room, and it's probably like kneeling down and showing you all the amenities around the room, and it's like tatami floors and all very traditional and sliding doors, and it was a really beautiful hotel, and everyone is in there. Is it yokatan? I don't know. It's not a kimono because that's different, but it's like the sort of traditional outfit that you wear, and everybody wears that with your like toe socks and your sandals.
Yeah, socks that separate your big toe and your other toes are a bit weird.
They are quite strange.
But I quite like it.
Really?
Yeah, it didn't make me feel it. Yeah, because you don't get sweaty toes then.
True. I find it really hard to walk in flip flops. You're like shuffling around.
They're not
the
flip flops,
hotel.
Ed.
Well,
Wow.
sandals that are a bit like flip-flops.
You were too busy wandering around in the toilet sandals.
Well, they give you specific ones to wear in your bathroom when you go to the toilet and that have like a toilet symbol on them. And I just forgot to take them off and started walking outside.
No, we went to the onsen where we were going to take our sandals off, and you look down and you're like, oh shit.
I had to walk all the way back to the room and change them.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we had a really nice shiatsu massage, which I've never had.
Shiatsu is my favorite.
It's very nice.
Well, I've always
you don't have to take your clothes off.
No, I've always said that I like having a massage where, like, I don't like things rubbed. I like things poked.
Well,
like the muscle.
You heard it here first.
When a muscle is like hard, I want someone to go in there with a thumb and just like push and push and push. I don't want them to rub up and like pull all the hairs out and stuff like that. And I don't need oils and all that. I just need, like, to me, a shiatsu is like the perfect massage. And I was at the end of it, I'm like, because it was an hour, and for £50, which was great. Yeah. But at the end of it, I'm like, oh, that was like 20 minutes, no? And I'll check the time. I'm like, no, that was an hour. Yeah. Like, oh, it was the best.
So we were in the same room. We had obviously different masseuses. I think your one was like the head masseuse.
She was great.
She was, yeah. I mean, mine was also really good. But your one spoke, your lady spoke a bit more English. So then we were chatting to her afterwards. Like, oh, it's the first time in Japan. She was like, oh, yeah, amazing. Oh, my God. Yeah. And we were like, oh, tomorrow we're going to the Nintendo Museum. And she was like, oh, my God. It was just so happy to like chat with us and just give us a good time. Like, it was just...
Customer service in Japan is like...
It's incredible.
I've never had anything close to that.
Yeah, it's amazing. So after that, we went to the onsen for a little soak. And they had multiple onsen in this place, and they sort of alternate which ones are for men and women each day. And that day was the outdoor one for us, or open air.
No, so there was always an open air one available for men and women, but the other one is on the top floor with views. Which
I don't think that's open though.
It was.
Was it?
It was just for women only, that one. Then the next day we could have gone up to the top. No, it was.
But it's kind of, there's like trees and plants everywhere. It feels more like a rock pool, really. But it was sort of open air and at night, and no one else was there, so it was just us, which was sort of disappointing. Of like, oh, I thought we were going to get naked in front of other people, and we didn't.
Oh, you did? There were two others.
Well, eventually. But we were in it for about half an hour, just sat there like, oh.
Like getting naked in front of other people?
I mean, I was a bit awkward about it, and then I was like, do you know what? This just is normal. Like, it's fine.
Yeah.
It's just normal. And yeah, just sat and had a nice soak, and after the massage, I was like, I just feel so at peace and relaxed.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we really needed that at that point, because after the busyness of Tokyo and all the walking, it was really nice to just sit and chill and just have a relax.
It was really hot and nice. And then we were in there for like a good 30 minutes, and afterwards I read, and it was like, oh, you meant to go in for like 10 minutes.
It was too nice to leave.
Yeah.
And then we had the meal, which was, again, another incredible meal of just multiple courses and little plates of stuff. And like the duck that we had that was like you grilled yourself on a little thing and you dipped it in this sauce. Oh, it was so good. Just so much good food. And again, you're sat there in your traditional outfit, just like surrounded by mainly Japanese people. There were a few other Westerners, but not Japanese many people, and it was just like, this is the proper Japan experience that I wanted to have.
Yeah, and it was great. And like, yeah, there are just so many different types of food. There's some foods, I mean, I'm not going to say that everything there I loved. Like, there was some kind of like cold omelette type thing that they put in some kind of gelatin juice, which I was not a massive fan of. That was in quite a few things, but like, it was generally, but like even it's that you knew, but also even that you knew it was really fresh, and it just tasted really good. Like the amount of walking that we did and the food that we ate, I think we came back quite healthy.
Yeah,
which is weird.
I think so. So then after that, we went back to the room at about 8 p.m. and by 7:30, I was fast asleep.
Oh yeah,
I was knackered anyway, and still kind of jet lagged, but just so relaxed after all that I just fell asleep. But we slept on futons, which I don't think we would do again.
I would never ever sleep on a futon again in my life.
No. I'm glad we did it, because that is traditional and we wanted that complete experience.
It was like sleeping on a sports mat from PE, that you used to bring out and lay down so you didn't fall or hurt yourself.
Yeah.
It was like sleeping on one of those, and I was in a bit of pain afterwards, and I'm like, I should have had the massage the day after.
Yeah, or just had another one.
Yeah, I should have done, really.
Yeah. But we didn't do that, because we got up early and we had a really nice buffet breakfast. And then we went back to Kyoto to quickly check into the next hotel. And then we went to the Nintendo Museum.
Yes.
Which was basically day 2 of Kyoto, was just the museum.
And which is the t-shirt you are wearing now.
I am. Shall I stand up?
Well, not fully.
I've got pajama bottoms on.
He's in his public nudity era. And that is the kind of the logo that was in a bunch of places. And if anybody that's listening
like
on the
museum
podcast,
logo, basically.
yeah, there's the museum stuff. There's just like some bits, some panels from like Mario and Game Boy and other things on there.
NES controllers.
So, and I actually have one as well. That's not that one, but it's grey and it says Nintendo Museum. But I went to put it on before the podcast and realized it because it came in like a square, like in a cube,
box.
and in like a box. That's the word. And it had been.
It came in a square cube. It's a box, Ben.
But it had been kind of like rolled up and it was creased to death. So I'm currently wearing something from what we'll talk about later.
We'll give it a wash. Yeah, I really enjoyed the museum.
I really liked it, and it was great for us. It was really good for us. So we'll talk about the museum part first, even though we did that second, because it literally starts from the games that Nintendo made back in like late 1800s, early 1900s.
Yeah, so if you don't know, it started as a card company, making little sort of trading playing cards. And then
it goes from there, and there's so many exhibits, and it goes all the way, obviously, to Switch, and including Metroid, the new Metroid game.
Yeah, so there one part of it is series through the ages, and it cycles through sort of Mario, Zelda, Fire Emblem, Pokemon, and Metroid, and they have, I think, was it 5 or 6 screens?
Yeah,
and it was showing like the games from that series on different consoles to sort of show you the evolution of each one. And with Metroid, the very last one was Metroid Prime 4, and that had the logo for it, and I was like, oh my god, are they going to show
And that was the
Metroid
last
4?
one on the rotation, so we sat there for about 20 minutes.
Yeah, we watched them all. And then we got to it, and you could see, like, the NES Metroid game, and Super Metroid, and Metroid Prime, and whatever. And then it got to the last screen in Metroid Prime 4, which isn't out yet, and it was just a blank screen.
You thought you were going to get something.
Yeah, I thought I was going to see some cool gameplay, exclusive. But they had the logo and then just a blank screen. I was like, are you fucking kidding me?
We needed to wait.
So clearly they'll update that.
But
soon.
we spent about 2.5 hours just in the museum part, and we were literally just walking around. All it was were there were a few screens that showed gameplay at the very top, but mainly it was kind of box art and of things, and it was all grouped with the consoles. So there's like the GameCube part. There was, later on they had like the grouped by franchises. Like there was a Pokemon section and a Kirby section and all that, Mario. But there were all the consoles and stuff. And that was the only thing I think that was disappointing was I didn't learn anything from it.
Yeah, same.
We're talking earlier about museums and stuff, and you learn stuff. Like it was great for us because we were just going around and talking about the games and this looks really cool, and I remember playing that, and hey, this game was only released here, and like we went around really chatting about pretty much everything, and about 2.5 hours, where some people would have gone around in 10 minutes and been like, okay, that's some box art for games. But like there wasn't any kind of story of Nintendo, of how they started, of what they did, how it became popular, of the Wii U, how that performed, and then they completely smashed it with the Switch, and there's no story.
There's no panels of words.
Yeah.
It's kind of just every sort of little section is sort of laid out the same in a way of like, here's the console, and then here are like the major games released on it, and it has the boxes from Europe, America, and Japan, so you can compare the box art, and it shows you sort of different special edition things and peripherals and things like that. But I think I didn't really learn anything either, and I think it's like, what do you want from a museum? Like, a museum is a collection of exhibits, and as a collection of exhibits, it is an amazing collection of, here is a big celebration of everything Nintendo have done. And that's super cool to see all in one place. And as nerds, we can go around that and appreciate it and enjoy it, even though there's the slightly depressing side of, this is my childhood in a room, which is fun to see, but also, why is that museum worthy?
But you go there and you're like, oh God, wow. Like I started off with Nintendo consoles, like only like 2 generations past the start, and now there've been like 7 generations or whatever since. And you're like, oh, most of these I remember playing when they came out. And, there's things like, you want the context from it. It's like they bring out the Atari 50 or 30 or whatever it is, and it's all these Atari games, and it tells you all about it and how they've made it, and there's random things like a receipt from somebody that had bought it, and like, I don't know, there are digital games that explain more than an actual museum, which I find a bit disappointing.
The thing is, I mean, I chatted to my parents about this yesterday because they know nothing about Nintendo. And so they would go to that museum and be like, well, I haven't learned anything because it doesn't really teach you. But at the same time, if you don't know anything about Nintendo, you probably wouldn't go anyway. I mean, my parents definitely wouldn't go, but
they could have made
people like us that will go to that museum to enjoy it. And we're the people who already know a lot about Nintendo.
But the thing is that it's literally run and owned by Nintendo, so they could give some exclusive information about it. Like they could have made that museum 5 times as big as it is, and you walk through rooms that are dedicated to a console. And yes, there's lots of box art on maybe on one side, but there's also the history of it and how it was sold and certain like facts about it and what it did with the company and what the CEO at the time said when it was launched. Here's the launch video, and so that they could have really fleshed it out to make it something that you could, I mean, obviously spend a whole day at, but they could make it 5 times as big, get that many more people through it as well.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. Like we had a really good time. It was really fun as to just like geek out for the day about Nintendo. So we had a great time. But the more I think about it, the more I talk about it, the more I'm like, there's so much more they could have done with it.
There's a lot of missed potential.
Yeah.
But there was the area below.
But that's only one floor of it. And the second floor, is the one below.
Where we got to play some of the games. But we played some of the games with these giant controllers, and you got really competitive and a bit miserable.
Yeah. Well, briefly. Your sort of entry card that they give you, you scan, and you get 10 coins, digital coins on it. And there are all these little mini games you can play on this second floor, but they cost a certain amount of coins, so you can't do everything. And some of that is like, it's like they've got loads of old consoles that you can like play the games, but you have to spend a coin to be able to do it. And you're like, well, I've got that at home, so I'm not going to do that. But one of the rooms had these like giant controllers. So it was a big NES controller, big N64 controller, big Wii controller, with different video games you could play. And to be fair, we did the one with the biggest queue, but it was playing a level of Mario 64 on a giant N64 controller that like 2 people have to do it at once. So like one person is literally like moving the control stick with 2 hands.
That was me.
That was you. And the other person's then like slamming the buttons to jump and whatever else. And I was watching other people do it, and I was like, have they not played Mario 64 before? Do they not know what the jumps are? Do they not know where the coins are? They're not doing very well, are they? We can definitely do better than that.
And we didn't.
We did not.
No. We needed to get 50 coins, and I think we got like 31, something like 35 maybe. But I had a great time doing it.
It was very silly. It was good fun.
And we also did, however, I was fantastic at the giant Wii remote where we had to fly.
Yes, it was, I think it's Wii Sports Resort, I think it is, and there's like a flying mini game, and you've got to pop balloons as you fly around for pops.
And there's one bit I was like, because I was doing it holding the front, so I kind of was controlling it. You were just holding the back. And there's one bit where I flipped, and you were like, "Oh, what the fuck's he doing?" And I just managed to do a reverse into a 5-pointer or a 7-point.
Yeah, I mean, it was a good move.
I was quite impressed. There were those people behind, and I could tell that they were impressed as well.
Yeah. Well, you were holding the front of it, sort of steering left and right, and then I was holding the back, going up and down to sort of pivot up and down. But I think you were holding it really low, and so basically me having to go up was like me squatting lower on the floor to try and get the angle right.
See, I wanted to lift it up higher, but then I didn't want the plane to go up in the air, so we were just.
It was very silly.
It was fun though, really good fun.
That was good fun. We did that. We did the shooting one, which had the old like NES pistol and the machine gun.
Yeah,
thing
that was expensive.
Console.
Many coins.
That was the most expensive coin one. But it was like an arcade of projection screen of loads of characters, and so you could aim and shoot to get the top score. I came 3rd out of like 15 people, so I was quite happy with that. That was good fun.
Over that.
We did the
Love-ometer.
We did the Love-ometer to test our relationship. By the end of it, we were 110% 10% compatible. So that was good. You had to like hold hands to then like do stuff together, and it turned us into cats.
Check out my Instagram. Check out my Instagram. I put a post that was just for Nintendo Museum stuff, and there are a few photos in there from us with the Nintendo 64 controller and the Wii controller, and also the Love one.
Yeah,
where it was very silly, but it made some very, very funny photos.
Yeah. So there were some other ones as well, but we didn't. We ran out of coins after that. And then we got a burger afterwards. You can make your own burger in a little Nintendo cafe. So I think we both had a really, really good time. And if someone else was like, should I go? I would be like, if you like Nintendo even slightly, absolutely go. It's well worth going to.
It's fun. And
it's
it's a very
really
new
fun
museum
day.
as well.
Oh, it's
which is
super clean
nice.
and nice. And yeah, there are loads of photo opportunities and stuff like that. But yeah, I wouldn't say we learned anything. But that's just because we're nerds already, I think, to be honest.
And again, another thing I noticed, like we were leaving and there's like the security guards they look quite kind of scary, like their police outfits and all the security guards out there. And at the end, they're like, "Oh, goodbye," and they bow to you. And I'm like, "Can you imagine that in the UK? Like,
Yeah, that would never happen.
A security guard bowing to you as you're leaving and say, "Hey, see you. Thanks for coming."
Our other disappointment, slightly, was the shop, which you probably will have seen the big giant controller cushions. But apart from that, it's all divided by section by each console. And for each one, it's got the T-shirt, the pen, the notepad, the stickers, and boom, boom, boom. And that's kind of it. There's not a huge amount to buy. So I got the T-shirt, and you got the T-shirt.
Yeah.
And then I also got a little envelope of stickers, which I think is what you're going for.
No, it's not.
Oh, it's not.
It's in there, I think.
Oh, well, we'll have to get that in a minute.
I did get a few extra T-shirts. You'll notice by the end of it, I did buy a lot of T-shirts.
Well, Ben didn't take enough clothes, so
I did, but I took shirts, and I was like, I didn't wear a smart shirt once.
No,
because it was quite hot. It was about 20 degrees.
I was just gonna say that just generally temperature-wise, it was like between 20 to 25 most days, which is like T-shirt and jeans weather, no coat.
It is, and
it was
because
really sunny.
we were doing so much stuff, I'm like, I'm not getting sweaty in a shirt, so I just wore T-shirts. But they did have, for pretty much every console, they had its own T-shirt, and I was like, I can't buy all of them. So I just picked a couple. So I picked, obviously, the Switch one, which you can see here is just a red T-shirt that said Nintendo Switch on it. There you go. But, which I'm kind of regretting, because I also bought a bunch of Nintendo, like, store T-shirts, which are also red. So I've got a bunch of red T-shirts.
They're all very similar.
Yeah. But I also got my favorite, which is a Wii U T-shirt. Beautiful kind of turquoisey, bluey, whatever color that is. Very blue. And yeah, it's a Wii U T-shirt. So I'll be wearing that very often, I'm sure.
Nice.
But yeah, do you want to go and get the...
Oh, yeah.
The
we basically,
art.
beneath us in the suitcase, got stuff. Oh, we need to show that. And we've clearly forgotten things.
We've got most things, so yeah.
Okay.
Right, we are back. And we're going to open the Nintendo Museum magical envelope.
Well, this was probably my favorite thing in the store. They had various stickers that are the same size
Not
as...
stickers.
What?
They weren't stickers. I don't think they're stickers, are they?
I think they're stickers.
Oh.
Well, we'll find
I
out.
thought
in
it
a
was just
minute.
art.
No, I think they're stickers. And it's the box art in the same size of like some of the top games from each console. And so we decided to pick out. You basically, I think it was like 10 quid or something for the envelope, and you get 10 stickers.
Yeah, and they're like, even if you just put one in, you'll still get charged the same amount.
So,
it's like,
you have to pick 10.
So
So we picked out basically some of our favorites between both of us and what we thought looked cool, which I think we should get these like framed and put somewhere because the art is cool.
I don't think they're stickers. Maybe they are.
I think they're all individually wrapped.
Yeah.
I think they're stickers. So we have, I'll just ask
It's all the
order they
Japanese
come out.
artwork as well.
So there is Super Mario Brothers, the Japanese artwork, which is just a classic. So that's pretty cool.
Apologies to anybody listening to this.
Sorry. We got Breath of the Wild, which also is different artwork to what is in Europe. And I
different
prefer
language.
this one.
Yep.
There is Metroid Prime, which was one for me. Again, different artwork. One for both of us. Pikmin 4.
Put it back in there.
Oh, yeah, because they're going to fall off. Pikmin 4, which was one for both of us.
Love Pikmin 4. Our game of the year last year.
Yeah. Animal Crossing, New Horizons on Switch.
Classic.
And the
It
one
looks
that we
very
both
different.
love.
But it's weird, like the actual art, like the symbol for Animal Crossing on there is not the wooden sign. It's like just blocks, like colour blocks.
I feel like the rest are all for me.
Yeah, no, I was like, I just needed the Animal Crossing and Pikmin.
Yeah, sure. So then I went with the original Metroid, which I just think is a really cool bit of artwork of Samus, and the original Legend of Zelda, of course, with Link on the front.
F-Zero.
F-Zero on the SNES,
Oh, this next one's mine.
which is just really cool cartoon anime artwork. So I really like that. Was this both of us?
Yeah, because I love Wind Waker,
Wind Waker.
though I've not finished it.
There's a lot of Zelda here. Wind Waker, which is again really cool artwork in Japan, and then lastly, Ocarina of Time, the best game ever made, which is
For the Nintendo.
I think it's in the UK. That's just a black box with the gold Zelda logo, and it's really boring, and that's super cool artwork. So we have those, which I think we should sort of
Definitely get
put in
framed
a
or something.
frame somewhere, which would be nice.
Very good.
After that, we hadn't had enough Nintendo, so we then went to the Nintendo store in Tokyo. And I think
Kyoto.
Kyoto, and I think spent more money on stuff.
Was that
I can't remember what we
Nintendo?
bought.
Yeah, because it was the Pokemon one we went to the following day, but we went to Nintendo. Yeah, no, we bought loads of stuff for that one.
Oh, that's where I bought this T-shirt and the mug.
Where you bought the T-shirt in the...
Sorry, in the museum, but I
yeah.
got the mug there. We bought some Pikmin bits and pieces, which we don't have here, but the plan is on the Kallax is that we're going to dot various little mini Pikmin around.
Yeah.
And, we got the Pikmin that's also a plant pot. That's very cute.
Yes, the Pikmin
Yeah.
plant pot.
It was very, very busy, that shop.
It was.
And we got a bit excited because we'd had a day of Nintendo and we were like, Nintendo's amazing. We bought the Amiibo.
Oh yeah, I don't have them here because I was like, they're going to be on the Kallax soon. But I got the Waluigi amiibo.
Yeah, and I got Tears of the Kingdom Link with his arm out. So yeah, that was fun. And then we went and had some tempura for dinner. That
Yeah.
was tasty. The next day was day 3 in Kyoto, which essentially was the only day we actually had in Kyoto. And there were 3 big things that I wanted to do, which were all sort of traditional history, touristy things to do, the obvious things to do in Kyoto, which you were like, oh, it's from TikTok. It's not. Just every guidebook, website, whatever will be, you do these 3 things. And we only got 2 of them done on the first day because it turns out Kyoto is a tourist hotspot. And by tourist hotspot, I mean incredibly overcrowded.
We noticed that
in a
the
really
second,
horrible way.
Yeah, we noticed that the second we got to Kyoto and we were like walking to the hotel, we're like, there were like the vast majority of people around us were tourists.
Yeah.
Whereas in Tokyo, you're surrounded by the vast majority of people are Japanese people that are working there.
I think there's just so many people in Tokyo that the tourists are more diluted. Whereas in Kyoto, the tourists outweigh locals.
Yeah.
Or outnumber locals. So it's just it's just full of tourists, and that kind of ruined Kyoto a bit for both of us. I would still go back to Kyoto because now we've done the obvious touristy things. I think there are other places that are probably really nice that are quieter that I think you can still have a good time in. So I would definitely go back still, but I think
Enjoy
we
your
were,
time
we were
there.
both disappointed by
I
it.
wasn't a fan of Kyoto, really.
Yeah.
It was just too full of tourists. And then when it is like full of tourists, a lot of things are then made for the tourists. And it just felt like, no, I didn't really enjoy Kyoto at all.
Ben had a bit of a grump on.
Well, because you took me up fucking
It
mountains constantly.
It wasn't mountains.
You made us go.
The first thing we did was we went to the Bamboo Grove, which I didn't realize there's basically an entire town and stuff around it, which is super touristy, of like selling
You
stuff.
couldn't move anywhere because there's just so many people.
Yeah, you're like shuffling through slowly and it's just irritating. And then you get to the Bamboo Grove and it's just people just take a step in, turn and immediately want a picture. And they're there posing and it's just like, they just walk in, they're like, picture. And you're like, no. Like my game became, how many people's pictures can I ruin by just walking in front of the camera? Because why do you get to stand and have a picture on your own when everybody else also wants a picture, but we're all being polite and just walking through and taking our time? Why do you get to hold everybody up? So no, I will walk in front of you and I will walk in front of you and make a comment under my breath and ruin your picture.
Yeah.
I do not care who you are or where you're from. Be polite and be respectful for other people. And if you're not, I will not be respectful to you.
Exactly.
Anyway, that was my mood for most of the day.
That wasn't my mood for the entire holiday. And I think it's like, I'm not, if somebody's in the way taking a photo and I need to get past, I'm just going to walk. I'm not going to stop while someone takes a photo. It's too busy. Like everywhere is too busy for that. And like the worst was Shibuya Crossing or the Shibuya Scramble, which you might have seen before, is like the super busy crossing where it's got obviously like zebra crossings around the outside. And then there's there's the diagonal one as well. And it's really, really busy. But the amount of people that turn that into like a photo shoot, I'm like, there is hundreds of people crossing the road, and then there's loads of people obviously with their phones filming going over it because it's quite a famous area and they're not looking where they're going. But there's just loads of people just standing there, and there'll be some that like want the image or want a video of them just standing there with everybody walking around them. And I'm like, no.
Yeah.
It's not a photo shoot. It's a place where people want to get from the station to the center of Shibuya. Like that's why it's so busy.
It's a working city. And like as soon as the lights change, people literally run to get to the middle so they can turn and have their picture taken with everyone walking. And I'm literally like, no, I'm going to walk in front of you and ruin your picture. I do not care. You're just being incredibly irritating.
Self-centered. And yeah.
So the Bamboo Grove was very much like that, and it was so busy.
However,
and it's also quite small. What I hadn't realized necessarily is that of course it's up in the hills. In retrospect, of course it's on a hill. But there's a big hill walk around it, which is a really lovely walk, but it's just full of tourists. And we did go to a temple that was a bit quieter. We had to pay to go in, but
and
it
was like really high climb.
But a lovely view at the top of the city. Okay. It was a lovely view.
We saw lots of really lovely views. We didn't need the 8th, 9th or 10th.
So then we did that, and we were a bit grumpy, but we were like, okay, well, in the afternoon, I wanted to go to the other side of the city that's kind of the small...
We forgot what we did before that. We went to the Pokemon Center and got a special Pikachu.
Oh, of course.
And
sorry, we started the day with a Pokemon Center, because of course we did.
And my Pokemon Go plus.
That's the main reason we went, is because Ben decided, obviously we've been playing the trading card game the entire time.
Obsessed with that.
Which we're very obsessed with. But Ben also decided, I'm going to get into Pokemon Go. And then after 2 minutes of that, I need to get the Pokemon Go plus thing to help me. So
do I speak like that, do I?
Yeah. So we had to go to the Pokemon store so Ben could stop.
Well, I'm like, if I'm doing lots of walking, then I'm going to get something from it. So I went there and didn't realize exactly what it did. But anyway, I just remembered because after that we went and went and fixed it, and we sat in the cafe and the little thing went Pika Pika, and you were like, oh, it's like, this is embarrassing.
Sorry. Yeah, no, I know what you mean now. Yeah, in the Bamboo Grove in the hills, we stopped off at this little cafe. We were the only ones in there, and it was a really lovely cafe. Had a nice little matcha latte. And it was really quiet. And then you started the Pokemon Go, and when you start it up, it literally starts like shouting at you, and it was really loud.
Pika Pika! And I'm like, oh, we're in this nice little calm cafe having some matcha.
But what I did buy in the Pokemon Center, because it's exclusive to Kyoto, is a little Pikachu with a matcha tea in a kimono, because of course, it had to be done.
And they had one in like a pink kimono, but you were like, no, because Pikachu is a boy.
Wow.
Generally said that.
In my personal canon.
Yeah, okay. But yeah, it was
not in everybody's, and that's fine. Pikachu can be whatever
sorry,
you
you
want.
Can say we won't cancel you. But yeah, that was so we went there, and I just thought it was very adorable. Pikachu.
Yes.
We're definitely getting a Pikachu and a Pokemon Kallax Square out.
Of 100%, yeah. So in the afternoon we went to Hiragashima Ward, or whatever it's called, in Kyoto, which is the east side, which is like the old part of the city. And what I'd heard is it's like, it's these like little traditional streets and cute little craft shops and coffee shops, and it's really nice to just wander around and see like the history of the city. And wouldn't it be nice? No, it is absolutely full of tourists, and they can all fuck off. And
it's not only that, but it's up a fucking huge hill, and you also sent us in the wrong direction for quite a while. And you were like, oh no, it's actually up the hill. We walked down a hill for quite a while, following a bunch of Spanish kids that were all dressed in kimono and like...
Well, so that's the other thing that I did not like about Kyoto, is that it's full of people dressed up in kimono. And you're probably thinking, oh, well, that's really lovely. No, they are all white Western tourists who basically every other street has a kimono store where you can hire them. That just panders to foreigners who want to just walk around Kyoto and be like, oh my god, I'm in a kimono, I'm in Shogun, look at me. And I'm like, no, can you just like appreciate culture and not
cosplay, is it?
Yeah.
The thing is, like, they don't mind.
I just found it weird, and I'm sure Japanese people don't mind,
no,
but
they
I
don't,
just found it really weird.
That was a good... I found that quite interesting when we were talking with Tom, with Nintendo Tom, who was saying that like throughout history, Japan has never been colonized. They are like the colonizer. So it's weird that these people become incredibly like protective, and not them, but like the people the incels who rant about people who dare criticize any Japanese or JRPG game. But like they're really like batting out for their culture and stuff, where they're like, no, generally speaking, they don't mind if you wear a kimono. They want you to wear a kimono. Like they come over here, try their culture and enjoy it and stuff. And it's not something that they are really, really like crazy protective over. Well, they are obviously, but they're not. It's not under attack because they're the ones that have taken their culture to other places. They're the colonizers, not the colonizees.
It just
colonized.
Like on the whole, it just feels like a sort of Disneyfied version of Japan. And go to Disney, have a lovely time. But I want that in a Disney theme park. That's not what I want from a historic town. And it feels like everything is there for tourists, not to be like, here's a celebration of our country. I don't know. I just found the vibe of it really odd. And it was just really busy. And I did we did go to I went into a matcha shop and bought some matcha
I just stood there.
And a proper whisk. And then I went to a little pottery shop and bought a little teacup, so I can at least make myself a proper matcha tea. But then there were a million other teacup shops that we saw, and a million places to buy fans, and everything's matcha, and it's all touristy. And we were quite grumpy at the end of that.
I was.
Yes. Well, I was as well, but I wanted to enjoy it more than I did.
But yeah, it was all up a hill, like a really steep hill.
Well, I didn't realize that. The next day was then essentially day one in Osaka, but we spent the morning still in Kyoto because they're really close. It's like a 20-minute train. So I was like, look, let's do the third thing in Kyoto, which is the Fushimi Inari Shrine, which is the one with all the red torii gates, which is, again, it's super famous and is the number one tourist thing that everybody does.
Yeah, it is. Definitely
and
is.
And it's exactly where all the tourists are. Now, admittedly, we were there at like 11 a.m., which was probably the busiest possible time. But you
kept going the wrong way.
Well, it wasn't very clearly signposted. And we wanted to go to the top, but it was just because everyone had said either go super early in the morning when it's quieter or do the full hike to the top because that's where it's quieter. Not everybody bothers to do that. So I was like, well, I want to get to the top. And once we did, to be fair, like the actual, the scenery with the torii gates and you're going through the forest, like it genuinely is beautiful. And when you get to the top and it's quieter and we could have pictures where it was just us, it is really peaceful and really lovely. And I am genuinely glad that we did it as much as I know you hated it.
Hated it.
But the bottom half of it is so full of tourists. And again, everyone wants their picture with the torii gates. And it's like we're surrounded by people and it's so busy and it's just really irritating.
It was. And it was especially irritating when they're like, so it's 10,000 steps. Is it 10,000? I think it was 10.
Something like that.
10,000 steps to the top. 10,000 steps. The steps at Russell Square Station, 193, and that puts me in a sweat. 10,000. But like 10,000 steps to get to the top of there. And then there was another bit where it's like, okay, we're going to work out. This way's you were like, oh, this way, if you go up this way, this is the easiest route to the top. So, and I'm looked up and I'm like, bloody hell, there's like 150 stairs in one line. So we went all the way to the top of that. And then there were loads of graves and stuff at the top. And we found like a little weird exit at the back. And there was a really nice view of Kyoto. And it was a dead end. It was like, oh yeah, no, that's just for a view. So we had to go all the way back down those stairs to take a different route because that would be the wrong one. And then we also went to this place and then we realized that we were going, we took another route and we realized that we were going downhill. We had some beautiful cats everywhere.
There were lots of shrine cats.
Lots of shrine cats. Cute. And we were going downhill and I'm like, not sure this is going up to the top of the hill because we seem to be going down. So we had to turn around and, the last 10 minutes that we'd done, we had to go uphill and do those. And yeah, we got to the very, very top and there's no view.
No, there's literally just a shrine.
It's like, here's the top. But
also,
by trees. But there are trees, so you can't see anything. I'm like, great. Well, I'm fucking knackered. My feet are killing. They were killing before we even did it because of all the walking we did the day before. And there were just loads of people there. I was a sweaty mess because it was quite hot and humid around there.
Anyway, we went back to Kyoto to have some lunch and Ben had a beer so he could calm down a little bit.
I needed the beer. Asahi is delicious.
There you go. So that was quite a nice lunch that we had. And then we got the train to Osaka. And we got to Osaka and we slept for the afternoon because we were both knackered.
Yeah.
But then in the evening we went out to Dotonbori, which is the sort of street foodie area of Osaka.
And they also had like a lights thing, didn't they, going on?
Yeah, they had like a light display down the main street, and it's all different coloured lights on all the trees, and the town hall has a big light display, and it's really cool. And so we went to the street foodie place, which is what Osaka is most famous for. It's like the food capital of Japan. It's where you go to eat all the food. And nearby Osaka is Kobe, which is where Wagyu beef originates. So all the
Kobe
Wagyu
beef,
all the Kobe sort of Wagyu beef is from there. So Osaka is a proper foodie place, and it's also where takoyaki is made, which are the sort of fried ball, batter balls with octopus in, which I've had before in London and was like,
yeah, we both
these
had
are
it.
a bit. Oh yeah, we
At
both
the
had them.
Sega thing.
Yeah, we went to the Persona thing, Persona 3 noodle event thing, and had takoyaki, and we're like, oh, these are a bit average, but
chewy.
okay, and a bit chewy and a bit shit. And then we had them. We were walking through. There were loads of takoyaki places on this street, but there's one that has a big octopus outside that is, I think, the famous one. And I saw it and was like, "We need."
It
to
is
go
famous
there.
because that was the only one with like a massive queue.
Yeah, literally a huge.
So it's like
queue.
when there's a massive queue and you can tell what it's going to be and you can tell it's going to be good. It's like I don't mind queuing.
Yeah. I mean, we queued for what, 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't that much. And about 5 minutes afterwards, they shut. So we were there just in time. And these balls were so good.
Clip that.
Yeah, they were incredible. I can never eat takoyaki again because
No, you can. You can have it from there when we go back.
yeah, that's the only place I'm ever going to eat them from.
Honestly, like I mean, I didn't say but generally Osaka I think is my favorite city so far. It's weird because I've been to like 2 or 3, well 4 technically because Yokohama and Tokyo. But like Tokyo itself is a world. Like it's a totally different thing. You can't compare it to anything. It has everything you want. It's not too crowded. It is fantastic. It's like, it's up there as one of my favorite cities in the world that I've been to. But Osaka is really, really, really special. And I think it feels quite studenty, but it also feels a little bit rebellious. Like the politeness and stuff is still there, but people there are a little bit more rebellious. There's loads of kind of really loud motorbikes and cars speeding up, and it just is not very. They feel like they're not just there to conform, but they're also incredibly polite, and the food is incredible. It's a beautiful city. They take so much care in making it as pretty as they can, just for the people there, not for tourists. I feel
it's a little like, I think it's known as being a bit grotty. Compared to like other places, and in the way that like Tokyo is absolutely pristine.
Some of the side streets were definitely a little bit grubby, but like that's
what gives it its character, is that it is a bit grubby. But then I say grubby, it's like, to me, Osaka reminded me of just being in London, it's just a cool city. It's lived in. There's loads of people. Everyone's out having fun.
Manchester.
All that, yeah.
It's like Tokyo to Manchester. It's like Tokyo is London to Osaka is like Manchester. It felt like with the canal as well.
But like Osaka feel to me like what London is now, whereas Tokyo is sort of like London in 10 years time. Like it's just Tokyo is in the future somewhere, whereas Osaka reminded me of just a cool city now. But it's also just much more relaxed. It's things like in Tokyo, I don't think I saw any couples. It was all groups of either just men or just women or a mixture, but they were in suits and
the subway was silent in Tokyo. Because everybody is just like, I'm knackered from work.
Whereas
on their own.
In Osaka, I saw loads of couples like holding hands and like hugging, and it's like people were just so much more relaxed there, which is it's a really nice atmosphere.
No, yeah, I really loved Osaka. And like this, when you look at kind of the side streets and stuff, or where people are eating and that, it reminds you, when you go to like, I'm trying to think of a game. Well, Cyberpunk is one of them. I was thinking of like Starfield when you go to their kind of side there. I think it's called Neon, is it? Or yeah, when you go there and you look down the side street and it's just kind of like smoke coming out and the odd pipes, and it's and there's like, you go down small alleyways and there's people just like kind of eating in a small huddled area, and like that was what Osaka felt like there. And it was just really cool. A really nice community, and people would talk to you, and they would like, I don't know, they're just friendly. Yeah. And also as well, we haven't mentioned the first experience that we had with somebody being friendly when we got to the train station in Tokyo.
I think there were various people who were like, these are our favorite people from throughout the trip. And one of them was the masseuse, who was just super lovely.
Yeah.
Also, the lady who served me in the Pokemon cafe, the Pokemon Center was just the most lively, lovely lady who I gave her like 3 different Pikachu things. She was like, Pikachu, 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 you like Pikachu? And I was like, kawaii. Trying to make conversations. She was lovely. But like one of our favorite people was this like businessman guy who it was day 2, I think, in Tokyo. Was it day 1?
It was literally, we got there for the first time and we had no idea where to go.
We were trying to work
the JR, like the lines have got like JL, JN or whatever, but they all come under the JR lines. Yeah. And we were like, this is JN, but that says JR, but we didn't realize that,
We'd got a little confused. We worked it out pretty quickly, but we were a little confused at the start. And so we were there on a phone, like looking around us. And so obviously looking like we didn't know where we were going. And he kind of just like was like going,
this businessman,
probably walking to work in a late or something, and was walking along and saw us and was like, do you need help? And we were like, yeah, we're looking for this line. He was like, go over there. And we were like, oh, okay, great. By the time we sort of turned to look where to go, and by the time we turned back to like say thank you, he'd literally just scuttled off.
Yeah,
like
he was
didn't
like
even have a
always.
chance to like say thank you, and I was actually like, "You're my favorite person. Thank you so much."
He's like, I didn't do that for a thanks. I didn't do that for anything. I just did that because I'm genuinely a nice person. And I want to help. And he's like, English was very, very low level, but he just was like, "You little lost. I'm going to help them." Yeah, it was really nice.
Just everyone was like that. So then the next day we had a day in Osaka, which I basically said to you, you can choose what we do. There were 2 things that I wanted to do, which was to look at Osaka Castle, which we went to see outside, which was very nice. And we went to one shrine, but it was a big dragon head shrine. So it was pretty cool. And other than that, I was like, you can decide what we do, and we'll keep it chilled. And we still walked a lot. Yeah. But we went and had pancakes.
Very fluffy pancakes.
Very fluffy pancakes. A bit undercooked, I will say.
Yeah, they were so fluffy. It needed a bit more. But they
still tasted good though. And then we walked around like the game shops there.
I've got to say, the amount of times we went to a game shop, and Ed was like, "Oh, let's go here, and let's go to this floor," and then it's just full of porn. That happened like 3 times. You're like, "Oh, it must be
intentional."
The first one we went to was in Tokyo, and you're like, "Oh, it must be upstairs. Let's go upstairs." And we went upstairs, and I'm like, "This is just I've seen actual genitalia in anime form, and like full sex acts just all around me on everything that I could possibly see."
I'm glad we saw it.
And then we went back down, and then we went into, what was the name of it? Animate? And you're like, "Oh, there's the melon books or something." You're like, "Oh, it's melon books. Let's go to melon books. Must be where the English books are." I'm like, "Sure."
Well, no, you were looking for an English one, so I was just looking for any kind of.
And you were determined that it was melon books, and we got to the floor with melon books. Melon books is called melon books for a reason, let's say. There were melons.
There were a lot of melons.
There were a lot of melons and bananas, eggplants, and that was lots of dirty stuff. But each to their own.
Anyway, but we had a nice time just walking around Osaka and seeing it all. And then the evening we went out for yakiniku, which is sort of Japanese Korean style barbecue, which was so good. And you sit down at your little pod. I don't know what they call it. And in the middle is the grill with a big fan sort of going up the top. So good. And then they just give you like piles of plates of meat and
it's interesting because they
sit and fry it all off and yourself, and so it's a fun experience because you do it yourself. But like the quality of the food was just so good.
But you order it on your app. Or you order it on the phone, and it's all in English as well. But like nobody was English there.
No,
like Osaka felt very non-touristy. I mean, obviously
that's why we liked it.
I know.
If that wasn't clear from this podcast, we hate tourists, even though we are very hypocritical.
Oh yeah, I realised that. I'm like, I like to go places with no tourists, but then I am a tourist, and it's very obvious that I am a tourist.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I generally, it's just weird. But I want to go to places where people live, and I want to. Yeah. I like to be immersed.
I want to see the real Japan.
Yeah, no, but I like being immersed. That's why I love things like simulation games and stuff. I want to be immersed in something fully. I don't want to just go and see the things to take a photo of them. I want to be, there and see what it's like to be in there. Yeah. But like, it's interesting when we went to that. What's it called again?
Yakiniku.
Yeah, we went there, and I'm like. We ordered it, and then within about 2 minutes they brought it. I was like, "Oh yeah, we're cooking it ourselves. That's right. Yeah. That's why it's here already."
Well, who cooked it?
We both did. Although I kept putting the chopsticks on there, and I was like, oh, I shouldn't use the chopsticks on that because that's
It's
a
raw
flame, and it's a flame.
Yeah.
I don't want to set the chopsticks on
Use
fire.
the tongs.
So, but I did enjoy that. But also, it's like when you're cooking your own food, you don't shove it all on at once and then eat it because you just do bit by bit. And so you're talking, and then we had drinks, and you and your lemon sours.
I fucking love a lemon. Or I had a plum sour that night,
Oof.
which is like plum sake mixed with soda and shochu, and it came in a massive tankard.
Yeah.
Oh, it was so good.
But so we did
Two of those. I was a bit pissed.
Yeah, but like you're just cooking it gently, and like you put a couple of pieces on, and you're there cooking it, and then after a few minutes you can eat it. But you're just doing it slowly, and you don't get absolutely stuffed.
The pork belly.
Oh yeah, waiting for that to kind of.
Oh, it was good. When the skin and the fat goes crispy.
It was very, very good.
So then the next day was our last day in Osaka, and we went to Stand Up Ben
Super Nintendo World
/ Universal
Wait,
Studios.
no, we've got to wear something for those.
Oh yes. So basically, it turns out that there's underneath. There's a fashion. I mean, you go to a theme park, and obviously you have to buy tat and whatever. But it turns out that there is a fashion for wearing headbands, and so obviously we had to get matching Mario and Luigi headbands.
I looked everywhere through every single shop that we were there for anything that was Waluigi related. Not a single one. The Waluigi erasure at Universal.
Shocking.
Disappointing. We need to do Waluigi game because when the game comes out, then there'll be loads of merch.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, there isn't one. So I went with actual Luigi. Like the cutest one was the Yoshi.
They had the Yoshi one that I was a bit like, he's sort of my favorite, and I'd kind of like that one. But then I was like, if we get Mario and Luigi, it's kind of matching. And the thing is, we got these early in the day, and then and the thing is, they've got like ones with bob-ombs, one with Goombas that basically look like bell ends.
Yeah, that was weird. Like 4 little Goombas on your head.
But then there's like the Harry Potter land, and you can buy like Hedwig ones and whatever. Or there's like Jurassic Park land where you got headbands with dinosaurs on, and or
Lots of people
or
dressed
loads of
up
other
in
characters.
things.
Everybody dresses up in theme parks there, and you can't not have a headband. But then throughout the park, whenever we were speaking to anyone, they're like, "Oh, kawaii," and we're like,
yeah, it means cute.
yes.
And like there was, we went.
Like,
and
look
queued.
at the idiot gay Westerners with those bloody headbands on.
Oh, but it was funny. But then there was one point we went to the Jaws ride, and we were standing behind 2 people, a man and his girlfriend, and they were wearing exactly the same. But like we didn't see many Mario and Luigi, but we managed to stand next to the only people I think in the park who did.
So we did basically the park first. We bought express tickets in advance. And
Please do that. Please
do that. It's literally the only way you're going to do anything, because the queues are huge, but not as big as the queues for food. Like they will queue an hour or like maybe like 20, 25 minutes for the snack bar to buy a drink. Like people queue ridiculously.
It's with the snacks.
Place.
The snack places were really like full of queues, but the places where you went and sat down and ate weren't too bad.
Depending on timing.
Yeah.
And queues for the rides were like at least 90 minutes, if not 2 hours for a lot of things. But with the Express Pass, you can go in a lot quicker. So our Express Pass entry for Mario Land was not until 6:30. So we got there about 10 a.m. And so we had basically the entire day to do the rest of the park, which was a lot of fun. The flying dinosaur ride we did first
In Jurassic Park,
which was so intense, and I did not
I
anticipate
didn't like
it
a
being
flying
that
because I'm the only experience I really have of flying coasters is like Air at Alton Towers.
Yeah, which I loved.
Yeah, and it's like that's like dipping down and it feels like you're flying and it feels really cool. This was just so intense. Like if you've ever been on your back doing a loop the loop, you're really like pushed back into your seat doing it. And I was like generally at the end of it, I'm like, I feel a bit sick. And I'd never ever feel sick on roller coasters ever.
We both walked off feeling quite dizzy. I think it's because it does like a sort of turn.
Corkscrew, yeah.
It does a sort of corkscrew turn, and then you do almost like a forward roll. So it's like a loop, but you're doing it going forwards first. You're not going up backwards. You're going down forwards through a dark hole, and then you come out the other side and carry on. So you're on the inside of the loop, and you're being like pushed against your seat, and it's like fucking ow. And after that bit, like it was fun, and then that bit was really intense. And after that, I was like, okay, I'm ready for this to end.
Yeah,
I'm ready to get off
I
now.
couldn't have
Thank
done
you.
much more, to be honest.
And like I love a roller coaster, but even I was like, fucking hell, that was a lot.
Yeah.
I think our favorite ride Well, actually, my favorite ride was in Mario, but the other favorite roller coaster was the Hollywood one because I think it's a copy of Rick Rollin
Ripsaw,
rocking something from America, and it's essentially you choose your music as you go on, and they've got like 5 different tracks. Taylor Swift was one of them, Shake It Off, and they had some anime tunes because it was
J-pop. We made friends with those 2 students.
We did. We were in it because it's a row of 4, and it was these two young guys who came on, and they're like, "Oh, where are you from?"
Oh my god!
They were
yeah.
like, "Where are you from?" And we were like, "Oh, we're from London." And they were like, "Oh, amazing!" Like high fives and fist bumps, and they were like a bit nervous about getting on. We were like, "Oh, it's gonna be good. It's gonna be good." Ben turns around to them and says,
Well, no.
He said, "Where in Japan are you from?" But they didn't quite understand that full sentence. They thought that Ben had asked, "Where are you from?" And he literally like pointed at his face and was like, "Where do you think I'm from?"
Yeah, he's like, I'm from Japan. Look at my face. Look at my face. And I'm like, okay. I was like,
and you had it, to be fair, you did say, "Where in Japan are you from?"
Yeah,
thinking,
but I
are
hadn't
you
got
local or not?
I'd not got to that kind of level of description in my Duolingo, so I wasn't able. I could say like, I'm from Japan, and things like this, and are you from Japan? But no, where in Japan? So, because I was like, I want to make friends. Like, yeah, teach me about a city you're from. I mean, where he could have been from anywhere, I don't know, but in Japan.
Right.
But
so anyway, we both went with Michael Jackson Bad.
Yeah.
Which is a tune anyway, but they managed to time it. So as you come out of the station, you go around the corner and the music starts. And then you go up the hill. It's like dum, 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 as you're going up.
And everybody's there with their arms like dancing,
like everyone just
with all
as
the
soon as
lights
music hits,
around.
everyone's dancing, but it's like a speaker in your seat, so you can't hear the people around you. You only hear your own music. So it's interesting to see what people are dancing to. And they managed to time it so just as it hit the chorus is when it goes down the first drop. So won't you slap my face because I'm bad down. And I was literally just like arms in the air the entire time, just having
Same, and I never do. I normally gripping on for dear life, but I was like, oh yeah, dancing.
Yeah. It was so. It doesn't go upside down, but it's just really fun. It's a really fun coaster.
Generally, think that is my favorite roller coaster I've ever been on.
Yeah.
Like if somebody said like, what roller coaster would you like to ride again? Like immediately, it would be that one.
I'm glad we did the flying dinosaur, that we did it, but I probably would go on it again. But that one, I'd go on it immediately again, like 3 times in a row.
I'd go on it I'd go on like 5 times, trying a different song each time.
Yeah.
But even though
sorry, Mario's fallen off.
Oh, yeah, your Mario was very interested in sniffing your hair most of that day, whereas mine's properly bottle upright. My back arch, Luigi's back arch is
superior.
Superior. Mario's just a pillow princess.
Sure.
Face
anyway, well, it fits then, doesn't it? And then eventually we got to Super Mario World, which we got to at 6:30, by which point it was pitch black, like it's nighttime. But Mario Land is completely lit up, and actually I'm glad that we did it at night, because then you get to see it lit up and it looks amazing. I mean,
and next time we can do it during the day.
The detail that they've put into all the scenery of just Goombas and shells and just everything moving around you, like it genuinely feels like you're in a Mario level. And you've probably seen videos and pictures and stuff, but when you're there, it's like, holy fuck! You go through the warp pipe into Princess Peach's castle, and then. Yeah, like you're in a Mario level. It's so well done. So we went straight for the Mario Kart ride because we had the express ticket, and you go through like Bowser's head into Bowser's castle, and you go up the stairs, and there's like a big statue of Bowser, and it's all
Don't forget to tell them about our watches.
Oh yeah.
Because you're probably like, why has he got a watch that doesn't tell the time?
Yeah,
I was wearing
so you
them.
get these wristbands,
snap watches.
Yeah. And there's Mario, Luigi, Yoshi, Daisy, Peach, and Toad.
See, it's Luigi's dungarees, yeah.
And Yoshi's egg stuff, I guess. And yeah, it's like a snappy thing. Not that it works on me. So the idea is, I mean, you have to buy these separately, not quite pricey.
Like 25 quid.
Yeah. But you kind of need this to enjoy Mario World, really. Mario's still slipping off my head, which is irritating me. I can't get this on.
Got such a small head.
Well, I know, and he's slipping off. So the idea is that
There you go.
Right, that'll do. you connect your wristband to the app on your phone, and then that keeps track of your score. But also the band that you choose is your team. So you're like, I was Team Yoshi and you were Team Luigi, and
Finished in first place, I think.
everybody's well, it changes every half an hour. Yoshi was number one for a while. So it adds up your score of everybody else with the same wristband as you. And all the rides, you collect coins, but there are little mini games around as well that you also get coins on. And there are like coin blocks that you hit with your wristband to collect coins. So
And you get stickers
the
for
whole point
doing
of
them.
it is like, on the app. So
Yeah.
the whole point is to try and get like the top score and whatever. So we went straight for the Mario Kart ride, and it's like you're walking through Bowser's castle with the lava, and he's like making bob-ombs and stuff like that as you go through. And like, again, the attention
money
to
as well.
detail as you go around it is just so cool. The actual ride was probably my favorite of the day, only because
You
it's
won.
just so, partly because I won, but it's just so unique. Like, I've
Yeah.
never done a ride like that. So as you go in, they give you like the top half of a visor, like a Mario hat. And then you go through the queue and you sit in these cars, and it's cars of 4 that look like a Mario Kart. And on there is the actual front part of the visor that you then clip into place. And the ride itself is just a car going on a track through the scenery of the castle and other bits and pieces and lights and animatronics and stuff like that. But what makes it is that you're in a car with a steering wheel, and there are triggers on it to shoot shells. And the visor is all augmented reality. And so as you're looking around, it's like you're in a Mario Kart race. I knew he was going to fall off. It's like you're in a Mario Kart race, and there are all the characters going around, racing around, and you have to shoot them all. And it's all done through AR on the visor. So it's not just you're in a ride.
Which I'd forgotten about, which is why I did very badly, was I didn't fire.
Jack.
I didn't fire any.
Right, sorry, Mario, you're staying off.
I didn't fire any shells until halfway through, because I was just there driving around and being like, oh yeah, I forgot they did tell you about the shells, didn't they? And then I forgot about the buttons, because the buttons are at like the top. But
Yeah, and you have to like hit the trigger, and basically like where you look is where you're aiming, as you like shoot the triggers. And you have to shoot. It's basically you're on Team Mario,
Was it separate?
and you're against Team Koopa, which is Bowser and then all of the Koopa kids. And so you have to shoot them, but not the Team Mario characters as you go around. And for each one you hit, you get coins, but you also have to steer. So obviously it moves automatically, but as it goes left, you have to steer left. And if you get it right, you gain.
See, that's the only thing I was
points.
focusing on.
Yeah. So you basically come at the end of it of like who's collected the most coins by steering and shooting correctly. So, and it's your team of 4 on the car. And
Here's
I
the
got-
app, by
I
the
got
way.
top. There you go.
I wanted to see the Mario Kart one, because sometimes they tell you like which parts you did really well and which sections. But there's a team happening right now, but it's not happening now because it's 0, because it's like 3 a.m.
Yeah.
No, yeah, it is 3 a.m. there. But it doesn't. I'm sure it's kept it somewhere.
I mean, it's got an all-time score on there, and that's the thing, is that there are people who will have a pass for like a season pass, and they'll go every day, and they've learned the correct route and the scoring, and they'll have an massive score.
Yeah. Like I unfortunately it doesn't show it, but I know that like the second half was way better than the first, because the first one I was only steering.
But it's just a really cool and really unique ride. Like nothing else is like that. So it's not super intense or anything like that, but it's just really cool the way that they have transferred Mario Kart and made it real life with AR. It's super, super cool. So the other main ride there is the Yoshi ride, but that had a queue of about 2 hours, and there's no.
No, it was 80 minutes, but it was 2 hours until the end of the park, and we're like, that's going to be the queuing for that's going to be most of our time.
It's a really slow ride where you sit in a Yoshi car and you just go around and sort of see the scenery. And I'm sure it's great, but we were like, that's going to take up most of the time. The main thing that you want to do is do all the little mini games, and some of those mini games give you a key. And once you get 3 keys, you can then do the mini game to face Bowser Jr.,
Which we went and did first.
which
and then they were like,
oh, we need to face Bowser Jr. So we like hit our wristbands on, and they were like, yeah, you don't have any keys. And we were like, oh, we need to do the keys.
And we had like an hour.
See the key signs, and you have to queue for every mini game, which obviously is like full of kids. And it's families where like they've got 5 kids, and every kid has a wristband, so they all have to do the mini game individually. And I'm like, chop, kids, come on, we've got coins to get and keys.
That child that you pushed over was very upset.
I did not push over a child. Some of them you have to do as a group though, which was fine. And there was the one we did where it's like a projection on a wall, and there are the sort of yellow like exclamation mark blocks, and there are blue ones, and you have to hit the blue ones so they turn into yellow. But if you don't do it in time, then the wall crumbles and you lose. And so like before us was a couple of like dads there with their like 4-year-old kids who are like just poking the wall, and the sort of assistants were trying to help out, but they ended up losing it.
And then they lose, then they're like, see ya, bye, you didn't get a key.
You didn't get a key, queue again.
I know you've queued for like 30 minutes here, but yeah, you can do it again.
And so it was me, when it was like me and you were like, there's 2 of us, and like, okay, so we had a wall each because there's 2 walls, and we were literally like, right, let's go, like bam, 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 like.
And you were messing up, weren't you?
I was not messing up.
Well, she had to tell you like to hit the blue ones.
No, they were just explaining what to do. I knew what to do.
I was completely fine on my side.
I was totally fine on my side.
And just as it was we were about to lose,
we got it.
We got there, and we got the green.
And it was just the 2 of us, and we were like, yeah, we've done it. So that was the 3rd key we needed. So we were super happy with that, and then went over to Bowser Jr. And the fight with him is sort of done. It's Mario Sunshine themed, so it's Bowser Jr. with the paintbrush, and like he's painted the M signs everywhere, and like paint splodges everywhere. And it's like a projection thing that it tells you sort of what to do. And you stand in front of it, and when the bombs fall, you have to hit the bombs upwards and swat them away. You can see your shadow. When bullet bills come, you have to duck.
Yeah, so I did quite badly.
It's clearly for kids.
It's quite clear for kids, and it's not for people that are 6'5.5". So like
and a half.
It's very important. So like when the 1.96 m, when the bullets were coming, I was like, the first one I managed to dodge, but I literally had to squat to the ground. But like kids were able to flap things away and duck. I couldn't do those 2 things at the same time, so I was getting hit all left, right, and center. Yeah. It was a mess.
And then it comes with like a coin block, and you have to jump in the air. And that was the other thing. All the assistants that are around, I mean, they all looked at us and were like, Mario Brothers, kawaii.
Yeah.
Because we had with the headbands on. But then they'd go, before you go in, they go, yeah.
Every single one, you have to do it.
Every single one, you have to do the little jump with the
let's
Mario
go.
Jump.
It was let's go.
Yeah. Oh, I was shouting, yatta.
They were shouting, let's go.
Whatever. You have to do that every time. But with this, you jump up to the coin block and you get a power up, which was the fire flower, and then you can basically use that to just shoot in all directions. And so you have to do that to swat away the bombs and then shoot Bowser Jr. I think I managed to like hit bombs into him, which did loads of damage. So you got like really high score. So I ended up winning.
So whenever there was a game, whether it was at the Nintendo Museum or whether it was at Universal, Ed always won. Or at least beat me. I know how to win. I just know how to have a very comfortable and relaxing holiday.
Good.
That's by not upsetting you, by beating you.
So then we got a sticker on the app for beating Bowser Jr., which was a lot of fun. But by the time we'd done that, then the Toad Cafe had closed. The queue for the Yoshi ride had closed. Also, you could see the entrance for where Donkey Kong is going to be, which unfortunately it opens in about 2 weeks' time.
Is it 10th of December, something like that?
Something like that, yeah. But over the hill of the Mario bit, you could see the very top of the Donkey Kong temple in the background, like lit up gold, which was really cool to be like, I can see it before it's open. But we couldn't go in that. So, yeah, the Mario thing was a lot of fun. I'm glad that we saw it at night because it was lit up. But when we go again, I want to do that early in the morning. And it depends with the Express Pass. There are set times that you do. And so it was like, well, what time do we do it? And there weren't that many slots available when we booked it. So I would want to try and book it even further in advance, go for a morning slot. Because once you're in, you can spend as long as you want in that area. It's just that at 6:30 in the evening, the park closes at 9. So you're limited.
Yeah.
So I would want to have spent longer there. So we could have done the Yoshi ride. We could have queued for Toad's Cafe. We could have done all the mini games.
The thing is,
then there's Donkey Kong on top of that.
Yeah, the thing is, like, I don't know if they do this in the future or, if Nintendo buys the park, but like you could do Super Nintendo World, and Donkey Kong, I imagine, when it opens, because I know there's a few things in there. Like, you could probably just do that in the whole day.
Yeah, you can spend a whole day there.
So I wonder if in future it'll be a little bit like what I imagine, maybe correct me if I'm wrong, like in Florida where they have like separate parks and you get the pass for all of them and you go on different days to them.
Yeah.
So you go to Universal one day and then you go to Super Nintendo World another day because it's just expanded so much that it's become its own thing.
Yeah.
So I wonder
and we
if
were
they'll
saying
do that.
like, what else will they do next? I mean, I'd obviously love for them to do a Zelda world with like, but I think they should have Ganon's Castle, not Zelda's Castle, with like Hyrule Market Town and Ganon's Castle and some sort of ride in there. I think would be cool.
All right.
And then you mentioned Pikmin.
Pikmin, yeah, and like everything's really big.
Yeah.
I'd love the
So I
pictures
think
of
that'd be really cool.
Yeah, imagine pictures of me with looking really small.
Well, I mean, I'm planning to do that on Instagram. Is a collection of photos that I've taken throughout the holiday of Ben is too tall for Japan, and it's just you ducking under things or being hit in the head by things constantly.
Yeah, legit, the amount I've got like a massive bruise on my head after going to the ryokan because I banged my head so many times on the random bits of wood that they just put low.
The ceiling.
Yeah, you missed the most exciting part of the of Universal.
Which was what?
The Minion ride.
Oh, of course.
Minion Town.
It was a bit vommy.
It was, yeah. There was quite a few things.
Quite a lot of the rides there are 4D, where it's kind of you're in a car and then there's like a big screen and it's kind of the whole like motion sickness thing. It's like you're in a VR headset, and I would much rather just be on a roller coaster where I know I'm moving as opposed to sitting and feeling like I am but I'm not.
Yeah.
So I found Minions a little vommy for my liking.
It was, but I got a Minion.
Because, of course you did.
I really did because I just saw your face when I said I was going to put this on the Kallax. So I got it. So you have to put that on the Kallax.
Well, I will arrange the Kallax and we'll see if there's room for it.
There will be room for the Minion. It can go there in front of the TV if it has to.
No.
But maybe that can be in the Nintendo World one. But yeah, so just the
To be fair,
theming is done really well.
Yeah, the theming of like the queue, and there were like multiple, like once you get in, you think you're in, but you're not. You're in like 3 different holding areas, but they show you a film at the time and stuff, and it's all the characters, so it's like you're in the film, and that sort of extends the ride itself for a bit longer, which is cool.
Freaking love Minions. Love Minions.
So that was another very long day, but a lot of fun.
Yes.
And just, it's a really fun theme park. And the Mario bit is the best bit of it. And if you go, you just have to do Mario Land. Like, it's so good. So that was that. We're getting near the end, I promise. Then we went back to Tokyo the next day.
We did. We forgot to mention that what we did when we were in Shibuya the first time round. We went to the Pokemon trading card shop, which is really subdued and calm, and there was like a big area where people were playing the game and they had like booths, but it was like dark and they were lit up, but it was also really quiet because people were playing against each other, but because the culture there is not screaming, shouting, drink millions of beers and all that stuff, it was just like people quite calmly playing it against others, and it felt like really quite posh. It was a weird place to be, but I bought,
because Ben has obviously now got very into Pokemon. And because of the trading card game on the mobile game,
I got these, and I've no idea what they are. I think they're Scarlet and Violet like starter packs, but it comes with a lot of things, and it's all in Japanese. But I just thought it looked really cool, and it wasn't as expensive as I thought it would be.
I'm sure the artwork will be nice.
Yeah, and I got one.
Are you going to open these at any point? Not now, but at some point.
Possibly. I might. Well, I've already opened one, so I might just open that.
Well, you've also bought some Pokemon card packs.
I do, and what I'm going to do, so I've got here, I've got some packs, Pokemon card packs that I got in our second stint in, what's the name of the place? Akihabara, yeah. And what I'm doing is we're gonna open one a little bit later, and the others I'm going to open on stream, and we'll play a little game of what they are and see if people in the chat can kind of tell, because I'm going to play a game with you. So I'm going to open this, and you've got to tell me what Pokemon it is, because it won't say it, because it'll be in Japanese.
All in Japanese.
Exactly.
Oh, you're testing my knowledge.
But this is the original 151.
Oh, well, then hopefully I'll know them.
Exactly.
Okay, good.
So that will be the game a little bit later, maybe at the end, before we do some questions and talk about other people who've been to Japan.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they're all like different collections as well. So I'm not there to collect them. I'm just like, they look really pretty.
Nice.
However, who knows in the future?
I'm sure they'll be worth something. I mean, you see, like, in the sort of gaming
Yeah.
areas, you see entire shops just dedicating to trading card games, not just Pokemon, but all the different ones. And they've got them all like the game that you played on the Steam game, the trading card shop.
Yeah.
Where they're all sort of
they exist.
well, clearly, and they're all sort of lined up, and you can see how much they cost, and some of them cost a hell of a lot of money. It's quite surprising.
They do. I'm going to pause for a sec because I need another drink. It's been yapping too much.
Sorry.
Right, back. Where were we?
We're back. Well, we're about to go to Tokyo, but there's a couple of things that we missed that I realised we need to talk about. So we saw everyone with these in Mario World. So obviously we had to get one, and it's a light up star.
And yeah, it's literally lit up.
You can't quite tell on the screen, but it's literally glowing. It's lit up. And in the back is a compartment that was filled with popcorn. And so people had these on their shoulders, on the strap, and you're just walking around like eating popcorn out of a golden Mario star.
Wait, there we go.
Hey,
that's gonna look great on the Kallax.
So yeah, that'll go on the Kallax lit up. I think it flashes as well, but I won't do that for everyone. Let me just turn off the light so we save the battery. So yeah, that's another thing from Mario on top of the headbands. Again, you see everyone with it, and you're like, well, obviously we have to have.
Yeah,
it.
we had to queue 30 minutes for that as well.
Like putting this in a suitcase was interesting.
Oh yeah, we bought an extra suitcase, as you might have seen.
And also another thing that we did when we went to the Nintendo store. Well, we did it in Osaka, but there is one of these in every store. Is the gacha machines for the controllers? So obviously we had to do that.
I got the GameCube, which is great because that's the first Nintendo home console that I owned, because I never had a Nintendo 64, and the SNES was my sister's that I just played for a couple of weeks. But yeah, so the first one I ever got was the game, and I've had every single one since, the Wii, Wii U, Switch. So, and I got this, and I was like, oh great, because I need a new keyring, because the one I've got's not very good. And then realized just that it's freaking massive.
Yeah,
so there's no way that I'm
quite big.
So there's no. But the thing is, did you notice as well? Well, do you want to show which one you got?
So I got the N64 stick. Well, yours are the GameCube buttons, because they have buttons and sticks for each one. So I got the N64 stick,
which is the thing that I controlled.
The first ever control stick
in the museum. Is it?
Yeah.
Oh. What was I?
But they're quite big as a keyring.
They are. They're a bit big, and I can't remember what I was going to say now. But yeah.
Well, there we go.
Got the. Yeah, it's a bit. No, that was the thing. Is like a lot of people I noticed have like things hanging from their bags. So I wonder if this is something that people just hang from a bag rather than a keyring.
I mean, there are just shops for tat, and just a lot of tat, and I don't understand where people put it all.
The Gashicon.
All the Gashapon machines, like just random stuff. Like, where do people put that?
Yeah,
what do you do with it?
Here are some key rings of like pieces of like ramen. Well, even that would be quite cool. But like,
what was the weirdest one? Is the cat hats?
There were hats for cats, and there was one that was like a baby toe, but it was like a toe, but instead of a toenail was a baby's face. But I think it was meant to be a wrapped up baby, but it looked like a baby toe.
Yeah, and there was a whole series called VAG.
Yes,
which stood for something, virtual something game. But we just saw all these Gashapon with VAG written.
Yeah. Yeah, but there's like, you can get this, and you could, in this gacha machine, you can get a key ring that is a can of peas. I'm like, oh.
Like, why?
Yeah.
What's the point? I mean, as much as it's sort of fun to put your coins in and turn it and see what you get, then you're like, great, I've got this random piece of shit in a capsule. Like, why do I want that?
Do people in Japan have like a drawer that's just full of random things like that?
The gacha drawer.
Yeah.
That no one speaks of.
Yeah.
Like,
honestly, if any hoarder goes to Japan, you are, going to be, definitely not getting over your problem.
No. Anyway, so after Maryland and Universal, the next day we went back to Tokyo on the bullet train, and we stayed then in Shibuya, which is Persona Land. Which was very cool. So we stopped off in a hotel, dumped our stuff, and then we got glasses.
I got some glasses.
You got some glasses, I got mine.
They're very similar to yours, so I won't wear them at the same time.
No. And then we went to a big department store where there was a Death Stranding pop-up.
Don't be so serious. I wasn't going to say that, but I was just... it came out. Yeah. Oh my God, I was living my best life.
To be fair, I don't like the game that much, but even I was like, it's just really cool to see like the artwork that was done.
Mm.
Like I don't
It's
know.
really small.
Yeah, I mean it's tiny. It's a tiny little room with a few bits in it.
Yeah,
but,
it was about as big as our living room.
yeah.
But like you could go around. Yeah, like we finally got to it. It's like the second basement level. And there's a person standing outside who, we went in, everything signed by Kojima because he's obviously been there. And it was like, and they were playing BB's theme. Now, if you know BB's theme in Death Stranding, it's right at the very end. It's a very, very, very sad theme in a very, very sad moment. And I was like, wow, they're really testing motions here. And yeah, they were showing like there were a few models, weren't there? There was like a script that had been signed, and there were lots of. Oh well, the thing that you were really impressed with was like the artwork or the concept art.
So one of my favorite bits of, I guess, video game art ever is Metal Gear Solid, and I can't actually remember the name of the artist, the concept artist who does it, but it's the really cool images of like Snake that you see on the box art and stuff. Like I just love that imagery, and the same style was used for Death Stranding. So Sam Porter Bridges and Quiet and whoever the other characters are.
Quiet.
What's
Fragile. Quiet's in Metal Gear Solid 5.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, Fragile.
Call yourself a fan.
They mix them up. Fragile and the others. They have them all in that style, which looks really cool. That was awesome to see.
Game is so good.
And then there was a shop. So obviously we had to go to the shop and obviously spend too much money. And even I bought a Death Stranding 2 t-shirt just because I was like, the game's not even out yet, and so I want a t-shirt.
It was cool that they had a couple of Death Stranding 2 things in the museum as well.
Yeah, they had the puppet that you might have seen in the trailer, the little sort of weird talking puppet thing. They had a model of that.
And a gun. Yeah, it was I really enjoyed it, and it was really quiet as well. Like there were when we went in, there were like 2 other people in there.
Oh yeah, I mean I don't think it was
there were a few when we left, but
that well known necessarily. But
yeah, I was expecting big queues.
You bought a duck as well.
I did. I bought a duck, which I have here. The Kojima, which I thought I did. Where is it? What's here?
It's under there somewhere.
It's the Kojima Productions duck,
which I said should go in the bathroom because it's a rubber duck.
And I said no, it's going on the Kallax.
I think it's going in the bathroom.
It's going on the Kallax. It will be on the Kallax. I will literally remove a Sonic to put it there.
No, you bloody well won't.
You better find a place for it then. I also got some Kojima. I mean, I got loads of stuff from there. T-shirts. I got a couple, and I also got this one here. This is a Bridges from Sam Porter Bridges, and on the back there's a big United Cities of America. Oh, and I also got. Oh, where is my? Well. It's it was like a because they've got gacha stuff where there'll be like badges and
we keep calling it gacha, but like every shop has this basically.
Where especially if it's like this, so they had some badges, and I think what they can do as well is you can buy the whole set, but they didn't have that in the Death Stranding one, but they did in like the Pikmin one. But you go and in the museum you go and buy a pin, but it's all in it's in a foil packaging, so you've no idea which one it is.
It looks like a condom.
Yeah, we removed it from the picture we took because it looked like a condom. But yeah, I opened it yesterday and it had a little BB badge, which was I thought perfect. But yeah, and I got some. I don't know. I just went in there. I was like, I want all of this.
Yeah,
I had to stop myself. Spent like 100 quid in there.
God,
it was worth it. But you ended up getting loads of stuff as well.
Well, we also went down. There was then a collaboration. Daly. Well, there was a collaboration then with one of the food places in the department store that was selling Death Stranding food and drinks. And we were like, let's just have a drink. So we had a Sam and a, what's her face? Amelie cocktail.
Because it's Amelie, I'm a lie.
Oh.
Get it? From the game.
I'd forgotten that was a thing, but yes, I did understand it at the time. One of the few bits that was legible. And yes, we had a cocktail each, but they had food, and we were like, let's not bother. But we were really, really crammed in with a lot of the people, and there were some other either side of us were sort of 2 like groups of boys. I would say boyfriends. They weren't boyfriends.
They were male friends.
Male friends
that kissed.
They did not kiss.
No, I think they're just like Death Stranding fans, but there were a couple of like Japanese, college age kids.
But they ordered food, but before that arrived was a little snack that was literally a small bird that had been deep fried.
Genuinely,
like a whole bird with a head and a beak. And they both
the
just
wings.
looked at it and were like, what the fuck do we do with that? And I just looked at them and went, Oishi des?
Deska. Oishi.
Oh, Deska.
Yeah. But yeah, no, we went and yeah, I remember the first, like they put it down and I was like, oh, maybe down here it's a delicacy. Maybe here in Japan it's a delicacy. But I saw them put it down and the guy next to us went, ugh. It was tiny.
Even they were horrified.
It was like about as long as my index finger. Like it was generally like that big from the top of its head and its beak down to its feet. They had everything attached to it, but it looked like it had just been. They looked like they got a tiny, tiny little chicklet or whatever. Well, we were trying to work out what a baby bird's called.
I don't know. We just said chicklet.
But it was very, very, very baby, and they just like grilled it and then served it. And they gave a go of it, of eating it.
They did give it a nibble, and
I
they
would
filmed
not
each other doing it.
Yeah,
we were like, I'm really glad we didn't order food.
I would never in a million years have got. I mean, genuinely, I don't. And it's weird because I'm like, I want to try everything, but when it's so obvious that that's just a baby bird, I don't. I just doesn't make me hungry. Yeah, the drink was delicious though.
The drink was good. It was very sweet.
Yeah.
So yeah, there was a Tom Daly thing in there as well.
I'm not paying £5 to go into his shop
and look at some knitting.
But there already is like a giant picture of him in his swimming trunks knitting.
So you were happy.
So I was like, got that picture.
And after the Death Stranding pop-up, we turned around and there was like a Souls one, which was super cool. And essentially it was a pop-up shop for a guy who did some of the concept art for Bloodborne and Elden Ring. And then they had t-shirts of like different Soulsborne designs and stuff. So I've got one that is, I can't remember his name now, but from Dark Souls 1, but in a sort of pixel, sort of old school retro style, which looks really cool. And then I saw the art book, so I had to buy the art book.
Oh, got it.
Which I do have here. And you, as a free gift, you got a little signed thing, flyer, I guess that is. But it's a really cool art book called Oracle. And it's essentially just a book of dark fantasy art, but it includes in it...
Gehn, Gehn, is the person that did it.
Is it?
It's on the side of the book.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's got his designs from Bloodborne and Elden Ring as part of it. So it's a really cool book. So I got very excited with Souls things. So we did that.
Yeah, that was a really cool department. They do lots of like the department stores that just like have really random cool pop-up stuff.
I mean, that also had the Nintendo store and the Pokemon store in this one department store with everything else. Like it was just a super cool building.
The Parco building.
Yes. So we had that, and then we had sushi omakase, which was our sort of third and final fancy meal, which we wanted to have like proper sushi. And omakase, I can't remember exactly what it means, but it's basically like as you like or something like that, I think it means. And essentially it's like chef's choice. So you just sit down, there's no menu, they just will make whatever they're going to make and they pass it to you. And even if it's fucking weird shellfish, it's kind of rude not to eat it. So you eat it anyway. And it was probably the best sushi of my life. Like it was really good.
Oh, God, yeah.
That tuna bonito was just phenomenal. But yeah, it's like literally handmade in front of you. And again, it's like theatre. You know, you're watching them make it and you get one piece at a time. So it lasts quite a long time. And there were, 21 pieces, I think we counted?
22.
I mean, the last one was dessert, which was literally just 2 grapes in a dish.
But the best grapes you've ever had.
I mean, they were very nice grapes, but it was literally just, here are 2 grapes in a dish. They don't really do dessert. But just the sushi in the whole was absolutely incredible.
They do dessert, but it's a special occasion, like when we went to the department store at the end of our trip and we saw those desserts.
Oh, yeah, they're just fridges just full of amazing patisserie and stuff. Like, it was incredible. So, yeah, that was a really, really cool meal. I'm really glad we did that. Basically, the sushi and the teppanyaki and the ryokan were sort of 3 things that I really wanted to experience. And I'm really glad we got to do all 3 because that was my, like, foodie culture
and the street food as well.
Yes,
because we had that. What else did we have? Oh, I had some like wagyu beef on a stick.
Yakitori.
You had chicken yakitori.
And then we went to McDonald's.
We wanted to. Well, the thing is, we wanted to see what like McDonald's in Japan was like, but we didn't want to like replace a meal with that. So we had a bit of street food, and by the time we'd had like the second bit of street food, everything had closed. So like, well, we're still a bit hungry, so that was the perfect time to go.
Yeah.
And I had some kind of spicy burger.
It was like a sort of teriyaki beef burger thing.
Yeah, it was very nice.
That was actually pretty good.
Yeah.
So that was all that. And
we also,
then,
I mean, we also went to Shake Shack. You had your first ever Shake Shack after Universal because there were loads of crowds.
First ever.
Oh, I thought you said it was.
No, I think I've had it before. But yeah, like we finished Universal and we're like, we need food. And obviously it's all very American. So
and everybody was piling towards the train. So I was like, let's go here and we'll wait for it to calm down.
So then we have our penultimate day of the trip, which was essentially game shopping day. And we went back to Akihabara, which is where there are loads of secondhand and sort of retro gaming shops.
And throughout the holiday, we've been kind of planning what games we wanted. So like during the Nintendo Museum, I was like, I like reading about Kirby. I was like, I never really got into Kirby. So now I want the first Kirby because the first Kirby game was a Game Boy and I've got my analog pocket. So I was like, you know what? I should go and play that.
Yeah.
And I wanted that.
Ben wanted games to play. I wanted games to look at the box art.
Well, we definitely did. We did a bit of both.
We did a bit of both. So Akihabara basically is like the central place for all the sort of nerdy gaming anime stuff, but it's also become incredibly touristy. And there are things like this shop called Super Potato that everyone is like, oh my God, this hidden gem, it's amazing. And you go there now and it's just full of tourists and it's 10 times the price of anywhere else.
And there's like a signed autograph of, what's that, autograph of like AJ Styles and like random wrestlers in there. And I'm like, yeah, this is definitely not a hidden gem. This is
it's really not.
Very.
So
knows about
if you really know what you're doing and you really want to go retro game shopping, don't go to Akihabara. You need to go to the outskirts of Tokyo or even go back to Osaka or other cities because it's a lot cheaper. Akihabara is quite touristy. But saying that, there are lots of shops to go in and it is fun to just go around them. So
yeah, we just like
ultimately where we did our shopping, even though it was a bit touristy and we probably paid more than we should have done. But fuck it, we got what we wanted.
Yeah, I also recommend Trader in Akihabara.
Trader was where we did the most, and they had the better prices of the stuff we wanted.
Yeah, it was weird. Like you'd see one thing that was 1,000 yen, which is like £5, and then in another shop it was 5,000 yen.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, it's £25 in this shop and £5 in another.
And it depends on the shop, but it also depends on the quality. And I mean, there's just like racks and racks and racks of all these games lined up, and so many of them. I mean, it's all individually wrapped in cellophane or in a plastic box, and it's all mostly so well looked after. So you can get so much stuff there. And I'm sure a lot of it is just random anime games that we have no clue what they are.
I want that Sakura Wars. I heard you were watching a video of it. Did it look good?
Genuinely, you'd like it. It's like mech battle tactics.
I'm down for it.
Kind of stuff.
There are loads
with anime girls.
Sounds brilliant. I want the big bobbers. Did they release it in the West?
I think so. But it was popular in Japan.
Because we were going to buy a Dreamcast, but then we worked out that it's going to be a bit of a pain going all region locking, avoiding, and all this stuff.
And also they're cheaper in the UK.
Well, yeah. The thing is, the ones that we found were special. Like we saw a Sakura Wars pink Dreamcast, and it was very beautiful and very pink, but it was £350.
Yeah.
I'm not paying.
We're not doing that. Do you want to share everyone what you bought?
Okay. Right.
So these are games that Ben will actually play. And I say that, it's more, maybe I'll give it a go and you'll look at it, but we shall see.
Well, so...
Oh my God.
Oh dear. Oh, they're all broken now.
Don't break them. There's one there.
There's one there. There's another one. Down there. Yeah.
God, I can't take them anywhere.
I did what my mum did at Christmas.
Yeah, don't break them all.
Right. A few £100 worth of damage now. So... the first one I wanted, I got the Kirby I wanted. So this is the Game Boy version of Kirby. And it's like, I love how it goes, box damaged. And I'm like, there's a slight crease on one of the sides. Like,
yeah, they have stickers on, and obviously it's all in Japanese, but it will say like the condition of it, which obviously has determined the price. And they'll be like, this is damaged. And it's like, there is a tiny crease somewhere on the cardboard or whatever. And it's like, they're just so particular. And
yeah, and it's like, I'm like, this game is probably about 30 years old. Kind of like, why, like, how is there even a box available that's not faded or been crushed or anything like that? I don't know how they managed to keep everything so pristine. But also it's in the plastic cellophane. I'm like, I might keep it in there as long as I can because it just looks really good. So Kirby. I also got, because the games that I've been wanting, I also got one of my favorite games of all time, Wario Land 2. which is very different, has a very different box art and cartridge in Japan. And I just love Wario Land 2, so I got that. That was £20.
Because you were mainly after Game Boy games to play on the analog.
Yeah, because that's because we haven't got the Polymega yet, which we will hopefully in a few months. Which will play like lots of old.
We've got very into retro games now, as you can probably tell.
Totally, yeah. Which is great because
we spend hours just going along being like, oh, look at all the games.
But the more you read, it's a bit like when you read about something and you hear about it and you know it's got all this history about it and that makes you want to play them. It makes me want to play more than like a new game necessarily. I also got Pikmin 1 and 2 and Pikmin 3, which I think is pretty much the same art, but it's in Japanese. So it makes it cooler.
So Switch, I think, well, we hope, Switch games from Nintendo, you can just switch the language to English.
Switch.
They're also like half the price. I mean, I nearly bought the new Mario and Luigi Brothership because it was about 30 quid, I think, as opposed to 50. Just because even brand new games are cheaper. And I nearly also bought Dragon Quest 11 on Switch until I realized that that is one game that you can't change the language. And I thought I do not want to play a big JRPG in Japanese that I don't speak it.
But the other game I got, so I was playing a little bit over the holiday when I had the chance, which was not very much. I think I played about 6 hours of Dragon Quest 3 HD 2D. Thank you very much to Square Enix for sending me a copy before it came out because I was like, oh great, I can please do. And so they sent me that, so I was able to play it in Japan.
On the Steam Deck?
Yes. Away from prying eyes, because I think if I got that out, I might have had a few people looking. Because they love Dragon Quest there.
I mean, Dragon Quest is huge in Japan.
So I managed to get a SNES copy, I think this is one of our joint purchases, of Dragon Quest 1 and 2 for the Super Famicom, which is the SNES. And it was really, like, not expensive. Like, it was £18 for a vintage boxed SNES game, which I thought was really cool. Dragon Quest 3, I only saw one time, and it was in a random kind of second-hand game shop in a small mall in Osaka, and there was some British guy just going through every single game like that, and he had like a pile next to him of like going through, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, get a life. But I just know that he's going around every single...
We basically did the same thing.
We did, but you can just... Yeah, I don't know. That there are people that will just go and hunt through every single game in every single shop to try and they know the value and of everything just to kind of get everything.
Yeah.
And it's like us, they're just like, oh, it'd be cool to get Dragon Quest 3. Well, no chance, because the people like him, the second they see it, buying it, or stealing it. But Dragon Quest 1 and 2.
1 and 2, it's still pretty cool. I mean, they're the originals.
And then we got a game that's our biggest purchase, I think, of the holiday. Mother 3, which is a game that was never released outside of Japan. Mother 1 and 2, I think, is on the Switch thing now.
Yeah, so the Mother series, I think it's Mother 2 is what we know as Earthbound, which if you've played Smash Brothers, you'll know that's where Ness is from. And Mother 1 and 2 are on Switch Online, so you can play them. The first one was on the NES, I think.
I think
the second one was the SNES, I think.
I read that Mother 3 is also on Switch Online now, but only in Japan.
Yes. And part of the reason is because it's never been translated, so it's only in English. And I think there are some things in it.
Oh.
There are fan translations, yeah. I think there are things in this, like there's a sort of cross-dressing town that they felt was not really appropriate in the West and things like that. So Nintendo, I don't think I've ever commented on why they haven't released it in the West. But Mother 3 is not available. It was released on the Game Boy Advance. It was originally going to be on the N64, but it was then cancelled famously. Basically I saw this and was like, we should get this because you literally cannot get this outside of Japan unless you import it. So while we're here, we should get it. And then we can play it on the analog.
And have no idea what we're doing.
No idea what the fuck is
Well,
going
what
on.
I'm going to do is I'm going to have to... I've got like a stand for my phone. I might have the phone with Google Lens on and then play it through there so it's translating it on the screen as I'm playing. I'm sure there is an OBS plugin that will automatically translate things on OBS. I bet that exists using Google Translate or whatever.
So I bought a few things as well. Which were all for the box art. I don't actually plan on playing any of these.
Wow.
I'm just going to put them on the comics. But one of the things I wanted to get was a Sonic Mega Drive game because the box art in Japan for the Sonic Mega Drive games is just so much better than what we got in the UK. And I was like, oh, I'm sure I'll be able to get a Sonic 1. It'll be really easy, whatever. It turns out that the Mega Drive was really not popular in Japan at all. And most of the shops we went into had a tiny, tiny Mega Drive section. And even then, if you saw a single Sonic game, you were very lucky. And the first time we went to Akihabara and we went into Trader, I saw a copy of Sonic the Hedgehog 3, so I bought it.
It's very 90s.
But it's just so fucking cool, the box art. Like, it's cooler than anything else that we got in the UK. So I'm very happy with that. And then next to it was a copy of Sonic and Knuckles, which was, I think, 90 quid. And I was like, I can't afford that, so I'm not doing it. So I got this one instead. And I think I then later in the trip saw another copy of Sonic and Knuckles, which was about 150 quid or something.
Yeah, it was very different. Like, yeah, big. I found that with Mother 1 and 2, so Mother 1 and 2, the packaged one, it wasn't very expensive. It was about £30 or £40 in Trader. And then we saw a random shop that had it for like 250. And I was like, why is that 250 and that one 40?
There might be a reason that we just didn't know, but
is the box art? Yeah. Also, as well, I was looking at because I was like, I really like a Dreamcast game because we're going to get a Dreamcast. I think we're going to treat ourselves for Christmas. Our gift to each other is going to be we're going to get a Dreamcast. But I really wanted Res because I loved Res Infinite and I'd loved like the original on Dreamcast. I was like, I can't find it anywhere. And then I Googled it and I was like, oh, so there's one here on eBay for £300. And I'm guessing then that means that Res is not a game that I'll be finding, cheap in a second-hand game shop.
So so I'm glad that I got a Sonic because it turns out they're actually really rare. So great. So I got that. I got a copy of Final Fantasy VIII on PS1. Stickers is all in cellophane, but it's the one with the little cardboard bit down the side, and
it was very cheap, that one.
It was pretty cheap, but it's a great game, and I just wanted to have it. And I think the box art is slightly nicer than 7 because there's a bit of extra stuff on it, and 7 is just the same. And I then found a copy of Chrono Trigger on the SNES, so I was like, I want to have that because Chrono Trigger is amazing, and again, the box art is really cool. So I saw that and was like, I want to have it. So I got it. And I also then wanted to get a Final Fantasy. And we saw actually on a few occasions a copy of Final Fantasy 1 on the NES, or I guess Famicom in Japan, which has incredible box art and it's just the most beautiful thing. But there was one that was like 75 quid. I think was the cheapest I saw it. And I was like, I just cannot justify spending that much money on it. And some of them went even higher. As much as it would be cool to be like, here's a copy of the original Final Fantasy in Japan. But what I did see was a Final Fantasy 6, which is not necessarily in the best condition, which is probably why it was a bit cheap.
11 quid.
Yeah. So the box is a little squashed, but it's Final Fantasy 6 with very, very cool box art.
Yeah.
So I wanted to get that. So they were mine. So they were all going to just sit on the Kallax and look cool. And I'm going to be a retro nerd now.
You are. And that was our game haul. And yeah, we've still got those. You collect. You're going to bring those. Now, before we go on, what's the rest? But before we go on to the next bit, let's go and do some random opening of Pikmin. So I got these. These, I think, did we get them? I think we got 2 of them from the Nintendo Museum because we had one each. And then we got another one, I think, from a shop.
Oh, you then bought one in Kyoto.
Yes. So this, we're going to open them now for the first time.
So again, this is like the sort of, give me one. This is the sort of, well, we keep saying gacha, but it's like there are multiple styles of these little Pikmin figurines, but you don't know what you're getting in the box.
Yeah, so we might end up with three the same. But let's find out. So the first one,
as well.
Yeah, I'll do it. So you can, otherwise it'll be a while, and we've got to finish at some point. This one is a. Oh, is it the black one? It is the bomb ones, or the big coal-looking ones. Oh, it's so cute. It's bigger than I thought. Always nice. It is... Oh, it's the little coal, the black one, the heavy one. Which is very sweet.
That is very cute.
You've got the same?
So then I've got one, which is not the same.
Ooh.
It is... I think it's the yellow one.
That's green.
No, it's yellow because it's...
Oh, he's lost his sword now.
It's green. It's on grass. Oh wait, it comes with a little separate stand that you put it on. But it is the little yellow one on a log, which is very cute.
Sorry, the viper's lost his sword.
Oh no.
There we go.
There's the yellow one.
Oh,
Yeah, it comes
hump
on
in the log.
It comes on like a bit of green to stick it
What's
on.
that in there? Oh, is it?
I don't know. There's a hole through the middle
Oh,
of it.
it's a USB holder.
Oh, there you go.
Apparently.
I was going to say they are actually things. They're not just figurines.
Yeah, and then the final one I'm going to open. Hopefully it's not it's not the same. Is I think it's like a 50-50 chance now of no, a little bit less. It is not the same.
Oh, good.
It's the blue one.
Hey.
And the blue one is on a big blue disc
Of water.
of water. Yeah, because yeah, there we go.
Oh, it's just its head.
Yeah, it's just the head of it because it's swimming, and that'll look good on there.
There we
somewhere.
go.
So there we go. That's the
Pikmin
gacha.
things.
That's not. Well, we keep saying that.
We also went to another bookshop, and I saw more Elden Ring things, so I had to buy them because I couldn't stop myself. So one of the cool things in Famitsu that they have at the moment is an Elden Ring manga, and every week it has extra bits of it. And because I know Elden Ring, even not understanding it, I look at the pictures and I'm like, oh, I can tell where they are in the game in that bit, because it literally follows the story of the game. But then we went into a manga shop and saw all the current full editions that they have. So I bought the first edition. I think they had 4 available, because what I would have loved would be the one with Melania, but I don't think that's even out yet.
I think that's
They haven't got that far.
No, it's soon though, isn't it? I think because Radan was the last one.
Yeah. So I don't speak a word of Japanese and I can't read it, but I'm
Speak
pretty
a few words.
a bit, but I'm pretty sure I can follow the story of that because it's Elden Ring pictures. And
Arigato gozaimasu.
Arigato gozaimasu. So yeah, I got that, and then I also bought the Elden Ring official art book, which was
And you haven't
probably
opened
the
yet.
biggest heavy thing that we had to cart home.
No, the worst thing was that bloody star.
Oh,
'cause
that's true.
the amount of things we could have fit in because that.
And again,
Awkward
this will all
size.
be in Japanese, but it's the art book, so it's just really nice art.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, it's just a really lovely book.
They had loads of really
So-
cool art books and like game books, didn't they? It's a good job I don't live there, otherwise I'd be just buying every single paycheck. I'd be going and
Game
buying
books,
books.
game art books, game soundtracks. Like you can buy anything and everything there.
It was like a
Basically,
Persona 3 CD special of Persona
yeah,
5.
yeah.
Also, as well, I noticed when we were in Shibuya, the bit where, and I think Matathon replied on Instagram when I showed the video of like the part that looks very similar to the Shibuya Square or the Shibuya Square from Persona and what it's like in real life. And he was like, holy shit, it's literally the same. And it is wild how kind of realistic they made it. And how like, it's like pretty much a full replica of the original of the real place.
Yeah.
Okay.
So after the game shopping, we then did Team Labs Planet in the evening, which is another sort of touristy thing that a lot of people say to do, which was all right.
No.
Ben was not a fan.
Be one with the art. No.
It's like
Take some photos.
It's an immersive art experience where they have these like weird exhibits that you sort of walk through, and it is kind of just a thing of let's take some poncy photos of each other. And it's sort of cool, like the one with all the sort of shower really of lights that you walk through. That I thought that was actually quite cool. And
the
there was
things hanging down.
Yeah, and there was the room with all the big balls that we had quite a lot of fun in.
We did, yeah.
Taking silly pictures of each other. But some of them are like water exhibits. So there's one where you walk through and it sort of comes up just below your knees, the water, and they project onto it through with lights all these like koi fish that are like swimming around you. But you weren't really a fan of the water.
Well, no, because my jeans, I was able to roll them up to like my knee, but then they were like falling down a bit, and I was like, "This is just stressful." I just waded through to the other side quickly.
And there
Also,
are
it
other
stunk.
rooms and stuff. Yeah, it smelled.
And there's lots of
chlorine.
annoying tourists. There was that one
There
kid
were
who's
oh god, that child.
There was a child, like, at the beginning, you have to stand behind, and we had to wait for the first presentation for the first group, and they had some kind of barriers.
Like the ticket barrier.
Yeah, the ticket barrier. And there was a little kid, like, crawling under the ticket barrier, and from parents who were, like, behind us somewhere, and, like...
They just could not look after that child. And
It
I
was
was
just
like,
like-
hold that child's hand and tell it to not go anywhere and
Pick it up if you need.
Be a parent. Like, don't just let them crawl around in public. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah,
Anyway,
that child was,
annoying.
but like the person on like the really like sweet, kind, like person that was working there was like, oh, can you kind of like keep your child?
She can't like pick up the child and be like, can you take the child? But was trying to like usher the child away, and it was just a generally awkward situation.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we did team labs, which was all right, and after that we then went to Tokyo Tower on a whim, which we went all the way up, which
to the very top,
to the top, the sort of the last group. And again, got a very nice nighttime view of Tokyo, which was very cool.
We went over the window walkway, which was very scary.
Yeah, and just had a nice walk around Tokyo at night. And that's the thing; it's at night, but we felt perfectly safe just walking around and just seeing the sights, and it was kind of calm and peaceful. Weirdly, despite being a busy city at night. And then we had our really cheap meal where we went to a sort of 24-hour place, and I had like a sort of bowl of rice and beef and some other bits with some miso soup on the side that I think cost me £3. And
I think
genuinely was probably should have been more than that, but it was just a really cheap meal that was actually quite good.
Yeah, mine was like £8, but it was like proper like pork steaks and rice and stuff. It was really nice.
Like genuinely really nice. The last day then was kind of a few last minute bits. We went out for we had pancakes again. We had 2 lots of pancakes actually.
To the TikTok place. That was really annoying.
We did a bit of shopping in Shinjuku, back to Uniqlo for some more stuff, and then we walked through Harajuku, which was
I loved Harajuku actually.
Yeah, there's like all the little like animal cafes and sort of crazy kawaii stuff.
Yeah, there was like a mini pig thing. Then there was like a Shiba Inu cafe, and the next to that was a man holding an otter.
Yeah,
it was like, come to the otter cafe, and I'm like, they should not be in a cafe.
No.
They should be in the wild.
Yeah.
Like a dog obviously is domesticated, and the mini pigs I think are kind of domesticated these days. I don't know.
Probably.
But otters, I don't know.
Yeah. It was like
it was doing its little purring noise, which was very sweet, but also
but I think next time we'd go back to Harajuku to do more shopping because they have some really cool like
and the
fashion
Shiba Inu
clothes shops, and we should do a puppy cafe because that would be fun. And then we walked back into Shibuya. We went to Tower Records, where we randomly ended up at a sort of J-pop meet and greet thing. We walked to the top of the building and going on different floors, and like it's like being in an old school record store, and it's just but all for K-pop and J-pop mainly.
It's say that, and then,
really cool
because we like having a bit of vinyl because we're weird hipsters like that. But you go to the vinyl section and you realize, oh, it's mainly like British bands and some American bands.
Oasis section. I was like, don't want that.
I was like, oh, they don't do vinyl of kind of J-pop and K-pop necessarily.
Well, they do, but it's a lot of old things. It's not like you can't get necessarily a current vinyl of new stuff.
Also, I think I underestimated how popular VTubers are there. Like VTubers have their own kind of aisle. Like there's literally on the section, like video game music, classical music. It's like VTuber music. I'm like, VTuber music is a genre.
There are whole VTuber magazines in the magazine section. Like,
it's wild.
And then we went back down to the ground floor and we just saw this huge crowd of people, and we're like, oh, I wonder what they're waiting for. Let's see. Like maybe it's a celebrity. We'll see. So we sort of joined the back, and it was this like J-pop meet and greet. I can't remember the name of the band.
EXO or something like that.
No. That's the K-pop band.
That's
that
the
I
K-pop.
played you afterwards.
Don't know, but they were some.
Was it just XO?
Might be EXO.
Yeah.
No, I think that's something else.
And they're like a J-pop / K-pop.
No, they said that they're an X-pop because they transcend international boundaries.
No, you're a load of Japanese girls that were formed in Korea.
Yeah.
You're J-pop / K-pop, but whatever. And it was just fun to sort of be there and watch all these like what do you say, screaming teens, and then they were just like random like businessmen. Like
just random old men like us.
Well, older than us, thank you.
Yeah.
But yeah, you could tell when they were coming in because everyone got their phones out and was screaming. And they literally just walked through and just like waved at everyone, and everyone's there with their pictures and like
they were there for about a minute and then they just did.
And then we all just walked away.
Yeah, I was like, that was a really cool experience.
It's very random.
Yeah.
And after that, we went back to the hotel. We got our stuff, went to the airport, and came home.
And we did have to buy a new suitcase.
We did. For all the shit that we bought.
Yeah. But yeah, no, it was incredible. Literally the holiday of a lifetime. Best holiday I've been on ever, and probably will. And yeah, I just can't. The thing is, the only thing that got me through coming home was being like, we're going again in 2 years.
we have to go again.
Like, I think every 2 years is going to be the thing. But I think next time we might make it a bit longer and go to Korea as well, South Korea as well.
Yes,
not north.
I'd really like to see that.
Yeah.
Now in Discord, a lot of people were sharing.
I thought we were going to do this before we do the Discord.
Are we going to end with that?
No, we're not going to. We're going to do it now.
Okay.
So this is the Pokemon 151 thing. There are 7 cards in here. So you've got to try and get 7 from 7 of guessing what Pokemon they are. I'm just going to open it normally. There we go. I can't. Oh, here we go. And you've got to guess which ones they are. And this is, from the 151 collection. I think they're quite rare, or it's like everybody's been trying to get these. Okay. There we have it. So, the first one's a nice, easy one. Okay. Oh, and I see a shiny in there as well.
Ooh.
The first one is... I'm going to show it to the camera first. I'm going to lean forward a bit. Ooh, sorry if you're listening to this on the podcast. You'll have to just find it on YouTube. This one.
That's a Bulbasaur.
It is a Bulbasaur. Well done.
What's Bulbasaur's name in Japanese? Stuck over my eyes.
No idea. It's in kanji. So.
Okay.
Bulbasaur. Right. Ooh, okay. Next one's good. I like the art on this one.
That is a Ghastly.
Yeah, cover your face. There you go. Oh. Okay. Ghastly. And, ooh, okay. The third one. Cover your face with this. Oh, but that's mine. This isn't really working, is it?
Not quite.
Cover your face again.
Oh, God.
Ah, there we go.
Oh, there you go. That is a Poliwhirl.
Poliwhirl, well done. I learned most of these names as well, like relearned them playing the trading card game. Okay. Holy shit. Right. We're going to get the first.
If you pull out a Mew.
Right, here we go.
That is a Hitmonchan.
Possibly.
Because Hitmonlee, I think, is kicking.
Okay.
And that's a punching one. So I think that's Hitmonchan.
Sure. It doesn't say anything, unfortunately, on any of the... Sorry, I'm sure someone...
I just realised it's obviously Bruce Lee and Jackie Chan.
I'd never really realised that either. Wow. Okay. The next
and the last...
one.
Is
No, there are 3 more.
Okay.
Including 2 shinies.
That is a Magnemite.
No.
Magneton?
Yes. I think Magnemite is the single one. And Magneton.
Yeah, you're right.
Or Magnetron? Magnetron.
Magneton. Okay.
Okay. First one of our 2 shinies.
Cubone!
Cubone. Really
Oh, that's
cute,
super
Cubone.
cute.
Really is. Okay. And the final one. You ready for this?
Yeah.
Cover your eyes. Look.
Mewtwo?
Yeah.
Fuck off.
Okay, how long did it take me in the trading card game app to get a Mewtwo? And I've got it in the first one I've just opened now.
That is so cool.
That is awesome. 2 shinies.
That's very, very cool.
Yeah, I mean, definitely keep that one. That's an awesome one. Mewtwo, a shiny one. So there we go. That is that. I will be opening up the other card packets during tomorrow's stream, which will be out today. Well, I don't know. I might upload this as soon as possible and just get it out there because I'm going to be streaming tomorrow.
Do it.
So yeah, that is awesome.
So
Very happy with that.
Thank you to everyone for sharing your own Japan experiences in Discord. I feel like we don't really have time to go through them all because
Can you pour some water in there?
Oh.
Please. We'll get through a few of them. We've got. I know it's like 3 hours long already, the podcast, but we'll do a bit more. Thank you.
Well, Brenda had loads because Brenda went just before us.
Oh, we'll do the questions first because I think Gemma put some questions.
I was going to say we can go through the
then
questions.
Finish it with others' experiences.
Okay. Well, Gemma put some questions out, which, oh god, now I can't find. Hang on.
Here's the first one.
I know. I literally just had them. Okay. Questions.
We'll make them quick fire.
We'll do them quick fire. So first up, where did you feel the most comfortable for whatever reason? The onsen.
When you were naked.
No, well, no. I mean, I'm joking. I would say I felt humbly not comfortable everywhere, in the sense of like we were very obviously like not Japanese, and it's very humbling to sort of be in the minority somewhere.
It's also weird as well, I felt, because like I know in London, if you see somebody who is Asian, like they could be like born and bred in London, like you don't know. But when it's a white person in Japan, pretty much 99% of the time, that person is not born and bred in Japan.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's everybody instantly. But then that's cool, because then everybody instantly knows to speak to you in English.
Yeah. I've just realized the next question is, where did you feel the least comfortable? So it's kind of like everywhere, really, in a way. But what I was going to say was then where I actually felt most comfortable was then coming back to Tokyo the second time, because we'd done a stint in it, and that was then really exciting. And then coming back to it, it was suddenly like, oh, I've been to Shibuya before. I know how to get, where to go, and I know what train route we need to get. And you're walking across the Scramble Crossing, and then it's full of all the tourists, and I'm like, get out my way! I know where I'm going now. I'm going to the shop.
Yeah.
And so I started to feel a lot more comfortable, like I was more of a local by that point, because I felt like I sort of knew my way around a bit more.
No, I think for me the most comfortable probably was just Osaka. Just like walking around there, I just felt chilled, very enjoyable. But like, least comfortable was anywhere there was like a big train station, because like the lines that you have to get, so you have to get like a specific train line from one place to another, and it's like you don't know exactly where that is all the time, because it's like, here are some JR lines, and it's, oh, is it a JR line? But then it's another line that's over there, and it's really confusing. I saw somebody that made a Shinjuku, or it might have been Shibuya, metro station or underground station, but like a 3D model of it to make it easier. And I looked at that, and everyone was just like, no, that's way more confusing. It's like they are huge, and they have like whole shopping centers in them as well.
That's the thing. It's a shopping center, but then attached to that shopping center is a department store that's about 14 floors, of which there are 3 different basements. And so you come out of the subway, and you're like, well, am I now in the subway? Am I in a shopping center, or am I in a department store? How do I get to street level?
Also, Google Maps is wrong. Google Maps is wrong on so many occasions. Like, it's like, oh, the Pokemon rest in Kyoto, the Pokemon Center thing is on the first floor. Like, no, it's on the 7th floor. Like, Google, like, because that's the first thing I've ever used with Google Maps, when it talks about like having things on different floors, which I'd never seen before. But it's wrong a lot. Yeah, I was quite surprised.
It was useful for the metro, the subway, like getting around it. It could tell you the right lines. But yeah, trying to find the right floor of a department store for a shop was weird. What surprised you cost-wise?
That it wasn't too expensive.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like collectively we have spent like a pretty decent chunk of money. But I think what we've bought individually, the things weren't actually that expensive. And the meals we had weren't that expensive. It's just that when you're in a country for 2 weeks paying for 3 meals a day, it starts to add up. But individually, I think we've bought things at a really good price. Even like Uniqlo is like half the price that it would be here. Or like we bought some really nice Onitsuka Tiger trainers, which were quite pricey.
I'm going to squeeze my little trotters into them. It was, I got the highest or the largest size possible, but
were quite pricey, but still half the price of what they would have been if we'd bought them in London. Yeah. So I feel like we've got our money's worth in general, I would say.
Yeah.
Did the sense of old feel different there than it did here? Like history. I guess it's like more peaceful. And I think that's what people want from Japan, is they want that like moment of peace by a shrine, and to like, be zen and all that kind of stuff. But then there are so many tourists that you just can't do that. Whereas over here, I feel like the tourist stuff is all very educational.
I thought it was funny that we went to the ryokan and we're like, it's really beautiful and everything like that, but like it's very, very 70s. And then
that's true.
Then we researched, and I was like, oh, it was had a full refurbishment 2 years ago. I'm like, wow, okay.
Even Kyoto feels quite 70s to me. Like the trains are quite old school style, but they're in such good condition that they still last.
Yeah.
Which is quite funny. Was there a flavor of food style that was popular there that just wasn't for you?
Is the one that says that was for you?
No.
Because I gotta say, like, the cold, wet, spongy omelette stuff wasn't my favorite. But there's a lot of like cold things that would have been maybe nice or warm. No, but I think there were things that I loved though were the melon stuff, the melon Fanta, the melon drinks that had a melon soda with a ice cream in there in the pancake place near the end. Like I love melon flavored things.
Ben loves melons.
Yes, but melon. I need to go and get. Yeah,
especially on Nikkei. My
which
answer to
is
this
the name of
question
the game,
is,
by the way.
my answer to this question is very easy and very obvious. Mushrooms. Mushrooms are fucking everywhere.
Oh my god, I forgot to mention this. Ed had so many mushrooms over the holidays. Like genuinely had it on about 5 or 6 occasions. You did it because you had it like 3 in the first few days. I had to message your mum and tell her.
I know. There were a few bits where I could see them and I could leave them or pick them out. But there was the odd occasion where it was like, I can't not eat this. So when we were in the ryokan, you had your little personal grill, and then there was beef, there was duck with different dipping sauces, and then there was a massive shiitake mushroom that you got, and I gave you most of it, and I had one little bit, and I was like, as I'm here, as a one-off, I will grill it myself to oblivion, and then smother it in sauce and try it. And it didn't really taste of anything.
Well, and you had one with Tom, and you also had one at the long thing.
I had one with Tom because it was stuffed, and what it was stuffed with was this like creamy, cheesy, chickeny thing that tasted incredible.
With
but
mushroom.
the squidgy mushroom underneath it was rank.
No, and you also had it in the bit where they gave you.
I had the sushi one where it had all the I can't remember what they're called, but the really thin white ones
that all get stuck between
fucking
your
horrible.
teeth.
And it had that on rice, and I was literally like, "This is
You pretender,
disgusting.
you loved it."
No, I really didn't.
You had a
the
lot
thing
of
with
mushroom.
mushrooms is that they taste of absolutely nothing, but they have a weird rubbery texture. So I'm like, what is the
You just
fucking
haven't had
point
any
in
good
this?
ones. You just haven't had any good ones.
No, they were gross. Other than that, all the food was for me. I fucking loved all of it. When you went to video game adjacent things, attractions, or events, was it mostly adults?
Yeah, there were a lot of adults. Also, I've got to say, yeah, when you go like retro game hunting, it is just full of Westerners.
Yeah.
Like there are no very, very few Japanese people that are going retro game hunting. It's mainly people on holiday like us, which I'm criticizing them, but then I'm like, that's exactly what we did as well. But we didn't, I don't know, we just did it. I don't know. I can imagine there are people there that'll spend days and days just going on every single one. It's like we just did it in an afternoon. But yeah, it was mainly kind of people a bit like us that were like, oh, let's go and get a bargain.
Yeah. Oh, I'll have a bargain.
Let's go and get this vintage game just because it's got Japanese art on it.
All right. How dare.
It's cool because it's Japanese.
But no, there is a real mix, I think, actually. And that's the thing is that I think over here, it's like gaming is still kind of nerdy in a lot of circles, whereas over there, it's just everybody loves games and anime.
And yeah, like you go to like the shops and there's like the whole manga section and One Piece and all that. And it's like, you never feel self-conscious buying any manga.
Yeah.
Whereas here, you'd be like, oh, the cashiers. Like, yeah, like I get that at work when I talk about like what I do with games and stuff. And they're like, oh, no, I stopped playing games when I was a kid. Like, and there's always a bit of a like, because I'm an adult now and I don't play games. It's always that kind of bit, but you just never got that there. It's just like that's part of their culture is games and anime and manga.
What was worth the experience, but you have no desire to do again?
That's a good question. Anything that's really high up, like the Shibuya Sky, the tower, and the wheel. Don't need to do any of those again. I've done that.
I sort of feel like I sort of want to say Fushimi Inari in Kyoto with all the red torii gates up the hike.
Oh yeah, never doing that again.
Because I know that you hated it, but I know you hated the entire thing and would say it wasn't worth it. For me, it was worth it, and I did really enjoy the hike. But I actually probably would do it again. It's just that I would do it at 6 a.m. when there's no one there. Because then I think
at 6 a.m.
Which is weird, but when in Japan, fuck it, do it. And I think actually it is really beautiful, and I genuinely really enjoyed doing that.
Kyoto, I've done it. I don't need to do it again.
We'll do a day trip. We'll stay in Osaka and just do a day trip to Kyoto.
No, I've done Kyoto.
I'll find you something good to do. What one thing from your trip would you say is an absolute must-do for anyone visiting? What one thing? How are we meant to pick one thing?
I mean, a ryokan.
Yeah, I feel like do a ryokan and that will give you that proper traditional Japanese experience.
And it's interesting because the people that go
nothing else.
But the people that go there are not necessarily like there were maybe 20%, maybe less than that, of like Westerners. It was a lot of people that like there's a group of old men that had obviously like maybe they'd been. In my head, I was like, oh, it's a bunch of friends that maybe retired and they're spending a weekend in this to just kind of relax and detox and just have like a man's weekend away where they can just go and chill and chat.
Well, that's the thing, because the ryokans are split into men and women. So if you're, say, a straight couple, you can't go into the same onsen. So you're basically going on your own if you're like on a couple's holiday. Obviously, as
with gay men,
we get to go together to the same place.
Just don't look.
Just don't look. Obviously you did. But actually, the onsen, like you say, was full of groups of mixed couples. But then, like, there's like 3 men that can all go together, and 4 women can all go together, and whatever. So you see like lots of groups of people going. The ryokan, I would say, overall was just the most incredible experience that was totally different to anything else. But I would also say that, like, if you're into Japanese food, you have to do teppanyaki / the sushi omakase, because that was really good. But the ryokan sort of included it. And if you're into gaming or Nintendo, I would say you have to go to Nintendo World at Universal.
Yeah, I'd say more than the museum.
To be honest.
Yeah.
It's fucking brilliant. And the last question,
also get the fast pass.
Yes. The last question, what did you not have time for that you really wish you could have done?
I think I really wish I'd gone to Hiroshima. It's a 2-hour train journey from Osaka, but it's not super. That's like £150 return, which is very expensive, but maybe just spend a night there. But because it's really, really far south. But they do, like, I've been told that like a bike tour there is really, really good. And like going there is very, I don't know, it's something you should do, which I think would be quite, and I, you know me, I'm a bit of a history nerd, and I like to visit places that have been a part of history. And I think that would be an important place to go, and I'd really like to go there. And I think next time we will.
Yeah, I think there are places that we wanted to go to that we will do next time, or we've learned things like, if you want that traditional experience, Kyoto is very touristy, but there are lots of other smaller towns that you can go and visit that will give you a similar vibe but are way less touristy. So that would probably be my advice to someone, I guess, and we want to do more of that next time. But the thing that I wanted to do that we didn't have time for, that I really still wish we'd done, was buy a knife. Because I really want a Japanese kitchen knife.
Well, then you saw the prices, didn't you?
I've now set my heart on it that I want to do it. Well, we didn't even go to look because the area was not near other stuff we wanted to do, so it would have been a bit of an out of our way trip. But you can pay like, I mean, I'd read on blogs, people are saying you have to spend at least 200 quid to get a good one. But I'm like, I'm not a professional chef, so I'm not going to do that.
Oh yes, I
would have spent 100 quid on a knife to get a really good one. But they're like handcrafted, and they engrave them for you, and it's like you go into a shop just full of them and you can try them out. And I really want that experience. But I appreciate by the end of the trip we didn't have the time. I definitely had run out of money, and was like, let's just do that next time. So I think I would still really like to do that.
And yeah, if you want to go to the shrines, go to a couple of like the special ones. You don't need to go to every one.
Well, it depends. Maybe
no, you don't need to go to everyone.
You can stumble upon shrines all around the cities, but there are some that are more touristy, but are touristy for a reason, because they're really beautiful. But go in the morning.
Right. Oh, so I think a couple of other people have messaged and have left
there's lots of long things.
No. He's talking about replies to stories. Do you want to do like a...
Well, Brenda said, answering one of the questions, worth the experience but never again award goes to traditional Japanese ryokan experience. It was cool and the onsen was divine, but there was a curfew, which it didn't say on the booking. Worst sleep in years. The breakfast was shit. The ryokan itself was very old and outdated, and it smelled like cigarettes in the hallway. But hey, onsen, woohoo.
Yeah,
I think it depends where you go.
If anybody's going and they want to know which ryokan we went to, send us a message, because we'll give you the recommendation. We're not going to go out and make loads of recommendations, because the second we mentioned that we were going to Japan, we got hundreds, which is like very, very grateful, but it was like a bit overwhelming.
Like generally, if anyone has questions of like specifics of where we went and what we did, and you want to know, like by all means, just message us or DM us. But yeah,
no, it sounds like disappointing that she had that experience. But I agree with the futons. That's another thing I would never do again.
Yeah, the futon. Like, I'm glad we did it on the futon because that was part of that.
We didn't
experience.
do it on the futon.
We slept on the futon. But if I go to a ryokan next time, I would want a proper bed for an actual proper sleep. Pete Random says, I remember we had a meal cooked for us in our room when we stayed at a ryokan. And while most of it was lovely, there was something that just really didn't agree with me and it made me gag and I had to spit it out. Subtly, but probably not that subtly. And I felt awful. Bad tourist points. And then afterwards, that's not a podcast story. But I've read it out now, so there you go.
Great.
To be fair, I think the next day there was something that didn't really agree with me. Than what we've had, but
for the very first time in my life.
I still swallowed it, but I think the next day it didn't agree.
Yeah, I was feeling a little dodgy stomach like before we went there, like while we were in the airport going to Japan. And I'm like, you know what? My mum was like, oh, don't forget to get some Imodium. And I'm like, I've never had any Imodium. So I bought some and that definitely served me well throughout the trip. There were like 2 or 3 times where I'm like,
yeah.
I think I had something dodgy last night, but I don't want to ruin this trip by running into a toilet every 5 minutes. So
also
take Imodium. That's another tip.
I think it's quite traditional to have the meal served in your room as well. And I really wanted that. But then when we were looking at ryokan, some had like the meal in the room, but it was then not as good in other areas and whatever else. So we went with this one that was in its own sort of dining room. And actually now I'm really glad we didn't have the meal in the room because the next morning we wore the same traditional outfits. I can't remember what they're called. Yakatan, whatever. And we put them on to go for breakfast. And as soon as I put it on, I was like, oh, it smells of fried meat because that's what we'd had dinner in the night before. And I think our whole room would have stank of the meal had we done that. And that would have been quite off-putting.
And also I cannot sit on the chairs with no legs. I don't sit on those things. I do not bend at all. So no, I'm very glad we never did any of that.
Okay. Pete also says, one funny experience was traveling on the Shinkansen with my brother who speaks enough Japanese to understand that over the tannoy they were saying, we apologize for the delay to this journey. This is the fault of the foreigners on board.
Oh.
Wow.
Yeah.
There were a lot of foreign. The Shinkansen is basically businessmen going from city to city and tourists.
Yeah.
But everyone's super quiet. It's really nice. Helios, I think my favorite part about Japan were all the sights and how well my friends planned everything. We were mostly broke, so we wanted to get the most bang for our buck, which included sleeping in capsules in Osaka, and it was surprisingly fine.
I do that.
I remember enjoying the free time, for example, when my friends went to climb somewhere in Nara, and I just relaxed in the air-conditioned visitor centre for an hour, or when they took a boat trip somewhere sulphurous and foggy, but I spent the day in Tokyo, people watching and eating good food. I enjoyed having blue flavour be an option everywhere, either in drinks or desserts or popsicles. Was that blue raspberry?
Yeah, that was the Amelie Death Stranding drink as well.
The place we stayed in Kyoto was amazing. One night they had free barbecue on the roof. Another they had free calligraphy lessons. That'd be cool. Another they had a free tour guide for the temple with the leaning balcony. I don't know what that is. I really enjoyed Kyoto and its 3,000 temples because I don't remember it being too touristy. Wow. I think given the option, I'd do everything again, even bear the 37-degree sea weather and 100% humidity. I would change the transport though. The night bus was absolutely not worth it. I think that's the other thing. Like a lot of people went to Japan before the pandemic. And I do think having not been before the pandemic, my impression is that it's changed quite a bit because it was closed for a long time. It's now opened and everyone has gone, I want to go to Japan. And I think over tourism is a huge problem there. But I think particularly in Kyoto, because that is the traditional city everybody wants to go to and everybody wants to see all the famous shrines. And I think a lot of people who went maybe 5 to 8 to 10 years ago had probably a very different experience of Kyoto than we had.
Yeah.
I think give it a year and it will maybe peter out a bit and it might calm down a little.
Or there'll be other places that maybe are better. Like, what was it down in the south? I'd really like to go to I've heard amazing things about the one in the south. Begins with an F. Where is it? There we go.
Fukushima?
No, Fukuoka.
Okay.
Fukuoka. Which is kind of nearish to kind of Nagasaki. And yeah, it's like between Nagasaki and Hiroshima. But it's also quite close to Iki Island and Tsushima. So cool. It's all around there. I'd like to go and I'd love to do that area. But we also, I think, want to do Hokkaido, don't we?
Well, I was just looking at Pete's, some of his other mentions here. He said, over the years, we got to venture out to places a bit further afield with his brother who lived there. We went up to the north to stay where he had initially worked a ski season and got to see the snow monkeys. And there's a very cute picture of a monkey in a hot bath. And I'm like, I want to go and do that.
Yeah,
I
me
want
too.
to see that and sit with the monkeys.
I wanted
really
to,
cool.
I've always wanted to go to Hokkaido ever since playing the level in Hitman.
Yeah. And then he said, most of all, and I'm going to finish with this because it's really nice. Most of all, I love the sense of kindness and safety. Evenings usually spell a bit of fear and on-edgeness, but it felt so free and safe at any time of day. I'd love being out in the evenings so much, especially when I felt brave enough to venture on my own. One evening we went to watch fireworks, and on the walk home afterwards, there were kids everywhere just having fun with sparklers, complete innocence and joy. And I would agree with that. I felt really comfortable there. I felt safe. And I think everyone is just so respectful and kind to one another, and that's why the tourists irritated me, because they really stand out as being really disrespectful, and it pissed me off.
Only time that we had annoyances were when it was with tourists. Like there's a time where we were having some food like standing near a railing that was quite low down, and we were standing in front of it, and then these two tourists came and like literally squeezed and sat down on the railing, and I'm like, oh, so we've got to move now because you've just literally pushed it. And there was a person that just like we were waiting to be served, and they just stood in front of us. Yeah, I was like, yeah, I'm getting served now because you've left a slight gap.
I love how much Japan loves queuing. Like you get on the tube and it's like everyone queues in front of the door, and you wait your turn to go on. And like the London tube is not like that at all, and it really irritates me. And I love that just sense of respect for each other and society. And there are a lot of like, you know, dark sides to Japan. Don't get me wrong. It's not all, you know, beautiful and joy and incredible, but there is just a general respect for society that I really, really appreciated.
Yeah. Oh, we need to also finish. We need to mention the, I can't think of the names, what we call them. The people that like to stand at the side of the road.
The hostesses.
Hostesses, yeah, are they what they are?
Well, you had a different name for them, but
I put san at the end, so it was polite.
That we were staying in Shinjuku the first part, and there were a lot of sort of hostesses and whoever they are lining the streets wanting to go off for massages and whatever else. But even then, it's like I still felt safe walking around. Like Shinjuku's like the dodgy area, but it's still like there were like maybe twice that men came up to us and like, do you want a massage? And we're like, no, just keep walking. Or like you can kind of ignore a lot of that stuff. Like I didn't feel unsafe because of it.
Yeah. Oh no, I didn't either. It was just weird, like how you think that it's quite reserved, but then there's like people, basically, I don't know, they just dress as like real young like maids and schoolgirls, and I'm like, this is weird.
Yeah,
but it's also probably some of like it's aimed at the tourists. A lot of them, I think.
It is.
No, I think some of them was.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, there were a couple of like men that were just like would go past a woman on a crossing and then kind of grab her to talk.
That was really odd. There were like Japanese men that would stand in groups, and then when like an attractive, I presume, I presume that was their mindset. Attractive woman would walk on her own with like headphones on, and they'd literally like run up and sort of chase her, and she'd just be like running off, and they'd like be chasing after her, and it's like, just leave her alone. Like stuff like that. I wanted to go up and punch them and be like, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
Like there is some oddness and seediness around. And weirdly that was a lot of young people, which I don't know, I presumed young people.
I mean, there's a reason they have women only carriages on the
subway
at certain times.
Exactly.
So.
Yeah.
But yeah. But overall that was an incredible holiday.
It was.
And I'm now depressed going back to work.
Yeah.
I'm glad we've got a few days to sort it out, but yeah, I do not want, as much as I love my job, I'm looking forward to like having Christmas now as a break, and I still got like another 2 weeks of holiday to take before the end of March, so I might just go to Japan again.
Well, no, we're not going straight away. We will need to save up quite a lot to replenish our funds, but
might stay in Europe next year.
Yeah, but absolutely, we want to go back to Japan. It was just the most magical place,
and I didn't feel like it was over in no time. I think because we did so much every day, at the end of it, when I'm like, oh my god, yeah, do you remember when we first got here? That was 2 weeks ago, and I'm like, generally felt like about a month ago because we've done so much.
That's why I wrote the list, because I wanted to remember everything, and we can, you know, we've got so many pictures to go through.
It's a very fulfilling holiday, and I did everything I could possibly want to. I don't think that we could have squeezed in anything else without making it really uncomfortable. So yeah, it was a very, the holiday was 2 weeks, which is about as long as this podcast, but it was a really, really, really enjoyable time.
Well, if you've listened and watched this far, then thank you. And I hope that we've inspired you to also go to Japan, but also to be respectful.
This is not sponsored
and
by
not be a tourist.
And this is also the last time that you will see the Kallax like this, because Ed is now...
Yeah, I'm gonna change it and put all the stuff and some other stuff that we haven't shown and put it all up on there. So this will hopefully be neater than what it is now.
Yeah.
It was going to be an afternoon job, but it's going to be a tomorrow job now, I think.
Well, it better be early because I'm streaming.
I know.
But yeah, there'll be a this evening / tomorrow job. And what day is it today? Saturday. Oh, we're missing Strictly.
I was going to say we need to pop off and watch Strictly.
Yeah, so we'll do that. And yeah, we'll also be talking about games on the next. We'll be back to normal on the next podcast. But we have had some games that we've been playing over during our trip. I played a bit of Fire Emblem: The Sacred Stones and also Dragon Quest HD 3D. But I haven't really played enough of either of them to, well, I don't know.
You can play some this week.
Yeah, well, Fire Emblem I played a fair bit of. And you obviously played a lot of Zelda.
Echoes of Wisdom. That was I did not sleep too much on the plane.
I know.
So I was playing that.
Everyone else is asleep and trying to sleep, and you're there with the Switch. And I'm like, and stop being addicted to games. Go and have some sleep. Otherwise, you're going to be...
I can't sleep on planes.
Because you're playing games, that's why.
No, because I'm traveling and I'm uncomfortable, so I would rather just be awake.
Yeah, addicted. Wow. What time were you playing games this morning?
I woke up at 5:30 this morning, but I also went to bed at 8 p.m. last night. So I've had a pretty good sleep overall.
Yeah, I think today will be... It's good, yeah. Like the jet lag coming back was definitely less than going there.
Yeah.
Excellent. All right. Well, thank you very much for watching. If you got this far or listening, please be sure to like, subscribe, leave a comment. And
Ed, let us know about your Japan experiences in the comments.
Please do, because I mean, this will be a podcast that's kind of one that I'll kind of save somewhere because it's a special one. But I'd love to see the comments of like what other people did, and if there's things that we've mentioned that are wrong or you've had different experiences, then please correct us. And yeah, tell us about the Hitmonlee and Hitmonchan stuff. I'm sure that will be explained. But yes, Ed, where can we find you?
You can find me at ed_knights on Twitch, on Twitter, Ed Knights on Threads, Ed Knights Blue Sky whatever it is on Blue Sky. I'm trying to use Twitter a bit less now, so you can find me on the other things. I'm trying to look up Ed Knights.
And you can find me at Biggest Bennis everywhere that matters. Because I don't really use Twitter now. I've deleted it from my phone and I didn't really use it over the holiday. And like anything that's personal or something that I want to post, I put it on mainly Blue Sky, because Threads is just a lot of engagement bait. But I've tried to kind of stick to Blue Sky now. Because Twitter, I had a few automatic things go up for my Let's Play of Mafia.
Nice.
But yeah, so find me there. And I will see you all. Well, we'll see you all next week. If not during stream.
Yep. Arigatou gozaimasu.
Thank you very much
for watching and listening.
I like it.
And sayonara until next
sayonara.
time.